Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you're watching first part of What If Naruto Was Sent Back in Time by Kyuubi with a Cost. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
In his apartment, Naruto is sleeping in his bed when the sun begins to peek through his window. He sits up straight and looks around. His first thought upon realizing that everything is as it should be is, tell me that was just a long bad dream. No kid, it was real, and just like I promised you, we are back before this whole thing started, said Kyuubi. Rewind. Naruto is panting on the ground. The battle with the Adasuka members is over, but it cost him dearly. A figure approaches the body slowly as the leader of the evil group lies on the ground a few feet away, lifeless. I can't believe this after all my planning and lying, and to see it. I am a mere minute from having the power to rule the world as I wish, and you demon and your pathetic friends try to ruin all my plans. I still can't believe all of them would die just to protect you, and I got this body from that stupid girl that jumped in front of you at the last second before I could jump into your body. I am just going to kill you now and end your pathetic life. What am I going to do? I have almost no energy left, and I used almost all of Kyuubi's energy as well. All my friends are dead and the only one left alive is possessed by him. Now I am just about ready to just accept death, Naruto pondered. Kid, are you really going to give up and let all of you friend death mean nothing? I am powerless to fight her, Kyuubi, and even if I did, I would be unable to do so and all of my friends would still be dead. Not if you were willing to make a deal with me. What are you discussing? Simple. I know a jutsu that can take you back in time. I am willing to help you for a price. What is the cost? Simple. I promise I will help you every way I can and help you make your life better so you can save your friends and her. The price of this is that you save every one of your precious people, stop those that hurt you and your friends, and protect your blood family. What are you talking about, stupid fox? Blood family? I don't have any biological relatives. Yes and no, simple kid. Your mate there is with child and she was waiting to tell you until after this whole mess was over. Fox, are you being honest with me? Yes, but that body switch just you will kill the baby not too long from now. The male brain does not hold the ability to keep an unborn child alive in the womb. Even if we beat him, we could not do anything to help. I don't want to see you suffer any more than you have because of me, so I want to change everything I can to make your life better. You will still know how to do all of your skill and have your chakra control, but you won't have as much chakra as you do now until you get your body into shape. Okay, Fox, I will rely on you to assist me. I have no choice but to trust you because you said you would help me. What are we supposed to do? All you have to do is let me have control of your hands and mouth so I can do the seals. Okay, do what you have to do and move quickly because I believe the psycho is preparing to attack us. Here I go. End of Flashback. Naruto pondered. So Fox, how far back did we go and what's the plan? Simple. First, it is the day before you were tricked into sealing that scroll for the traitor. We are going to see the old man. Get him to help us by telling him about everything that happens over the next couple of years, and we are going to use henge and get you some clothes and weapons, including a katana like you had before. Naruto went to the Hokage tower and requested to see the elderly man. After dressing as Kyuubi claimed, the Hokage said, "So Naruto, tell me what is so important that you asked to speak to me?" After Naruto was allowed inside and sat down across from the third. He shifted his position, looked at the ground, breathed deeply and began. I hope you don't have a lot planned for the day because what I am about to tell you will make you want to hear every detail. First, I know about Kyuubi, but that is not important right now. Let's talk about a couple of snakes, a pervert frog and a gambling slug, and Uchiha Itachi. If you want to go ahead and call Anko, Kakashi, Jia, Asuma, and Ibiki. I have no problem telling them also so that a way I won't have to retail it later. The Hokage gave him a startled look before calling for the guard outside his office after learning of Kyuubi. Please bring Anko, Kurenai, Kakashi, Jia, Asuma and Ibiki to my office. The shogun replied. And tell Kakashi to put that pervert book away and don't be late. Naruto replied. The Hokage stared at him, wondering what was happening. Naruto said, "Hey old man, how old do you think I am right now?" "You are 12, why?" The Hokage inquired. "Let's just say that my body may be 12 but my mind and memories are 17, but that's all I'll tell you until the others get here." The Hokage said, "I want everyone in this room to listen to Naruto and give him your real attention." After a short while, when everyone had arrived, he turned to face Naruto and nodded, allowing him to start. "I know all of you are wondering what's going on. To tell the truth, it's a long story. I know most of you might be scared because of Kyuubi inside of me, but if it was not for him I would not have had a chance to do what had to be done. I know most of you have had a tab on me at one time or other, and you know I should be 12 years old. I actually am 17, but I used a jutsu that let me come back from a few years in the future and replace myself in my original body. For this time I did it because the tragedies that are coming are even worse than what Kyuubi did before he was sealed him in me. At that the whole room stood open mouthed, looking like everything has ended. Everyone decided to keep listening after a minute, and Naruto began once more. Okay. I don't know everything, but I can tell you what I do know. Tomorrow, after I failed the final exam for the third time, Mizuki tricked me into stealing the secret scroll. He said that if I could learn one jutsu from it, then I would pass the genin exam, but he was actually planning on killing me, hitting the scroll and use it as a gift to the hidden village of sound to get power from one of her favorite pain in the butt, Orochimaru. But while I was waiting for him to come, I learned this. Naruto then sealed his and said 5 Naruto clones were in the room when Kage Bunshin no Jutsu was said. To demonstrate that you are real Kage Bunshins, I want each of you to touch one adult. How did you obtain the scroll, Naruto? Kakashi inquired. Simple, I just walked into this office and the old man was behind the desk there, and I used this sexy no jutsu. Naruto changed into his naked female form with clouds, and all of the men in the room passed out from blood loss and started to bleed their noses. Anko then grinned at Naruto and remarked, "Kid, I like your style. You share my sadistic tendencies." After a moment of looking irate, Kurenai said, "Even though I think you are degrading women, you use a weakness of almost all men, beat them." After releasing his clones and everyone else had woken up, Naruto began again, saying, "Actually it only works on perverts, anyone else can withstand it. I defeated Mizuki after he told me about Kyuubi before he tried to kill Iruka and me, so I got angry and drew on Kyuubi's power directly. Using Mass Kage Bunshin Jutsu I made 1000 clones and just overpowered him. After that I was assigned to the Kakashi team with Sakura-chan and Sasuke Bastard. Before the Chunin exam, we completed a few missions." Everyone noticed when Naruto paused to discuss the mission. "What were you going to say, Naruto, about your missions that briefly caused you to freeze?" the Hokage said. "Naruto, I want the truth." Naruto began to speak after a few moments of staring at the ground. "All right, I'll tell you, but I still want to go on the mission. I complained after we completed a D-rank mission, and we were given a C-rank mission instead. Protecting a bridge builder from the Land of Waves was the goal of the bodyguard mission. The Demon Brothers attacked us on the way there, but we defeated them rather easily. We then continued the mission after learning about Gato and how he was enslaving their nation. We went on to say that his village would cover the cost of the A-rank mission price once it recovered. When we arrived at Wave, Zabuza attacked us. Kakashi defeated him, but soon after, he ran out of chakra. A man named Haku then appeared as a hunter nin and took Zabuza's body, which we believed to be dead, but was actually only in a semi-death state because of Haku's medical expertise. While he recovered, Kakashi had us practice walking trees. About 2 weeks after Zabuza and Haku attacked the bridge, I was still recuperating from chakra exhaustion at home when 2 samurai attacked the daughter and grandson of the bridge builder. I beat them and went to the bridge to assist even with his new Sharingan eyes. Sasuke Bastard was in too much pain from fighting Haku's demonic ice mirrors jutsu to keep up when I arrived. While Kakashi was fighting Zabuza and Sakura-chan was guarding the bridge builder, I went to assist Sasuke. Once I was inside, we both suffered serious injuries, but Sasuke saved me by tricking me into believing Haku was about to attack me and kill me. When I first gained Kyuubi's power and his wrath, I believed he had passed away. I broke Haku's ice mirrors and was about to kill him when his mask came off and I saw the boy I had become friends with during training. I let go of Kyuubi's power and was unable to kill him. He asked me to do so because he had lost his purpose in life, but I was unable to do so. Kakashi then tried to use Chidori on Zabuza, but Haku deflected the blow and allowed himself to act as a human shield. Kunia damage caused Zabuza's arms to break when Gato arrived with an army to destroy us. I persuaded Zabuza to exact revenge on Haku for the way Gato was disfiguring his body. He killed Gato but also died from wounds. I want to bring Zabuza here to join Konoha and try to save Haku. They could be of assistance to us in the future. Every word Naruto said was listened to intently by everyone. Naruto, I have a question for you. Why do you keep calling Sasuke a bastard? Ibiki inquired. Naruto gave him a dumbfounded look before responding. I'll get to that in a little while. If you wait, I'll be happy to answer. Where was I? Things ran smoothly until the Chunin exams, then everything went haywire. A sound team was sent in by Orochimaru in order to obtain information about Sasuke and us. He also has a leaf team, led by his right-hand man Kabuto, who spies for him and tries to make friends with the Rookie 9 and Gia team. Even though he couldn't get it from Itachi, he still desired the Sharingan. And then there is the Gaara team. Naruto, who is Gaara and why do you speak his name so proudly? inquired Kakashi. After a moment of laughter, Naruto said, the Kazakuge's children are Gaara, Kankuro, and Tamari Gaara is the youngest, but he is also like me. What are you trying to say? Jia inquired. Naruto stated, simple, he is the vessel of Shukaka, the one-tail raccoon demon, which reminds me when I see him I need to change his seal. Aegean. What? Everybody in the room inquired. Why would you want to change a seal, and how can you know how to do it, Naruto? The Hokage inquired. I would like to change his seal again because he is currently unable to sleep without the demon taking control of his body and attempting to destroy his soul. It's that simple. You don't travel for 3 years as an apprentice of Ero Sennin without learning something. In any case, back to where I was, during the survival portion of the test, Orochimaru disguised himself as some rain nin he killed, which reminds me, Mom, please be more careful with your kunia. Kyuubi nearly never stopped laughing for a month after you licked the blood of my face when you threw it at me. He is currently mentally unstable because they put a berserker seal on him, but after I changed his seal, he became a good friend and ally for Konoha after he became Kazakage, but that is a little later. What? Everyone said, you can speak with Kyuubi about how that occurred. Who are you referring to, Mom? Anko inquired. I won't say if you don't want me to, but I also know who Dad is if you remain silent. I won't say, but keep Dad's name out of it for now. I want it to be a surprise, Naruto said, laughing once more before looking serious for a moment. Anko asked, so, do you hate me or do you know the reasons? As everyone in the room briefly glanced at the two women that were the only ones present, after glancing at her, everyone turned to face Naruto. Naruto remarked, I did at first, but I eventually moved past it, accepted it, and respected the rationale. I was more surprised by Dad. I asked that until I give my approval. No one bring up this subject again until it is safe to do otherwise. I will continue to refer to her as Anko in any case. How well informed are you Gias about Kyuubi? Have any of you ever made a serious effort to understand why he attacked? When no one spoke, Naruto began performing seals and uttered the words, Kyuubi Kage Human Bunshin. When the smoke cleared, a man wearing a black Junin uniform and a black cape stood in the room with his hands clasped together in front of him. Everyone in the room, with the exception of Naruto, tensed momentarily with the weapon drawn. When the man started talking, everyone in the room relaxed a little. Hello, kid, I appreciate you giving me this opportunity. My name is Kyuubi, but I am still sealed and only a controlled Kage Bunshin. You all need to know what's actually happening and what's coming up, which is why Naruto is letting me speak if it's okay with you. Hokage, could you call Enma here so he can verify what I'm about to say? After giving it some thought, the Hokage decided to make fun of Kyuubi for a while before calling forth Enma, who then spoke. Why have you called me here, Saratobi? Emma inquired. The next shocking event in the room was when the Hokage pointed a finger at Kyuubi's Bunshin without saying anything. Lord Kyuubi, I thought you were still sealed. How did you get your human form again? Enma inquired. Everyone in the room turned to face Naruto as he spoke, saying, I am still sealed in my vessel, but I am completely a subordinate to him. No. Naruto here has proven to me he is worthy, and I have bestowed on him and his future family the power over all of my kingdom, both here and in our world. I am the ruler of the other 8-tailed beasts if they were free, and Kyuubi has given me command over all of the summons he is over. Unfortunately, they are all currently sealed in someone, so I am unable to control them, which brings us back to the issue we are attempting to resolve. Would you kindly inform the other about Kyuubi summoning, Enma? Kyuubi is obviously a different kind of summon than most of us. Lord Naruto, ape, frogs, slugs, falcons, cats, boars, golems, dogs, and foxes are the 9 summons that Kyuubi controls. He resides in the mortal realm but occasionally comes to our realm to settle disputes, but sadly, there is a flaw in the fox contract. This is the summon scroll for the foxes. I want everyone here to read this scroll, Naruto said, conjuring a fox with a scroll on his back. Everyone accepted and began reading. Fox reporting. The person WHO holds this contract and is able to summon a fox with it is able to make the summon do anything that they wish with OR without the consent of the summon. If a summon refuses to do as the summoner order, then the summon is bound to do one task only with the full extent of said summon power OR it, and any sub-summon are bound to the original summoner and all sub-summon contracts are voided. But if the summoned does the one task, then they are allowed to locate a new person to possess the summon contract. This contract is made to allow humans the ability to summon any of the sub-summons of the foxes, with the exception the sub-summons have the right to test or refuse any summoner they do not see as worthy. The Lord Summon of Foxes is Kyuubi is bound to this contract forever. Everyone began to feel uneasy after reading the contract, and then the Hokage asked what Naruto had been waiting for. WHO. At the single word, Naruto opened the scroll to reveal the final 2 names on the summon contract. Orochimaru, who made everyone in the room instantly faint, and Uzumaki Naruto. How he obtained the summons contract is unknown to me. I didn't know where it was until he called me because the last person who owned it died more than 200 years ago. After I refused to destroy and enslave every human village on the planet and elevate him to the position of Demon Lord of all summons, he threatened to take control of all my subordinates unless I destroyed this village. I had to follow his instructions because I couldn't do that to my subordinates, and the rest is history if it's okay with you. Enma, please tell everyone the truth about what happened. Enma then bid farewell and went back to his own world. After that, there was a long period of silence in the room until Naruto finally said, "All right, everyone. I know you have a lot on your minds, but I would like to tell you what is going to happen. Orochimaru will attack my team during the second part of the exam, and even with my Kyuubi power helping me and my temper out, I was unable to kill him. He placed a curse seal on Sasuke bastard that was identical to yours, Anko, and then left us after placing a 5-star seal on me. I have a lot of work to do tomorrow, including training, if at all possible. Both Sasuke and I made it through the second round, but Lee was severely injured and nearly had to give up ninjaing. The 3 Sand siblings all survived Neji's attempt to kill Hinata anyway, even though we were unaware that he was a vessel at the time. Kakashi trained Sasuke to fight Gaara during the month between the second and third exams. This makes me think, Kakashi, if you teach Sasuke bastard Chidori Ajian, I'll come for you with this. Naruto created an Omega Rasengan purple. Because they all recognized the Rasengan, everyone in the room became tense at once. Naruto, who taught you the Rasengan? The Hokage asked. Naruto said, Ero Sennin. Who is that? Kakashi inquired. After a few minutes of calmness, Naruto sat down again and said, Are you serious? You don't know who he is? Kyuubi and Naruto both began rolling on the floor at that point, and everyone else in the room began to perspire. He's my dad's teacher, to give you an idea. The Hokage coughed after that, but everyone else appeared perplexed. Ibiki inquired, Who is your father? You just told us about your mother, and I thought you were an orphan. The others simply shook their heads in agreement. After giving them a forehead slap, Naruto turned to face the Hokage and remarked, Thanks, old man. You did a great job keeping that secret safe. Oh, that reminds me that I should go ahead and get my inheritance out of Dad safely while I'm here. Don't worry, I've been there before thanks to Goidiami Tsunade Ba-chan. The others turned to face the Hokage, who simply nodded before they followed Naruto with their eyes until he stopped in front of a picture of the Yondaime hanging on the wall. He began to make hand signals before saying, Henge replication release. The picture vanished and was replaced by a safe. At that point Naruto turned the combination lock a few times before opening it and removing 2 scrolls, a journal, and something wrapped in a cloth. Have any of you figured out who Ero Sannin or my dad is yet? He asked, moving to the window and glancing at the Hokage mountain. The next thing anyone else saw was a yellow flash and Naruto standing behind Kakashi with a hand on Kakashi's book Icha Icha Paradise. The room went silent until Naruto said, That was Dad's technique, Flying Thunder God. Now you know who Dad was and who Ero Sannin is. The one and only frog hermit Jiraiya aka Ero Sannin, who if I'm not mistaken is peeking at some women in a hot spring right now. In any case, you inquired about how I was able to speak with Kyuubi when Ero Sannin was teaching me how to summon. He threw me off a 2-mile-high cliff. This reminded me of Kyuubi since we went back before all of this. Do I still have my summon contract with the frogs? Or do I need to resign it? I had no idea how to control Kyuubi's chakra or communicate with him. You still have the contract, so you can call them, but I believe you should show the frogs some decency and sign it now as well, so they will remember you when you need them. You're right, I really should get a hold of all the summoners and have them summon the bosses so I can meet them and find out if they need me for anything. Anyways, during the third exam Orochimaru, who will be in Henge as the Kazekage who he had killed, will attack the Hokage and be trapped inside a barrier made by 4 of his men that you can't get through. I don't know much about what happened there beside the fact that the old man died and sealed Orochimaru's arms so he could not use them. Ajian. Gaara was mentally insane after being wounded by a Chidori from Sasuke and transformed into his half-demon state in the forest while Sand and Sound teamed up and attacked the village. We only had about 12 deaths including the Hokage, but the damage took a whole year to repair. I beat him and befriended him, but it was not until I changed his seal while on my 3-year training mission that he really became normal. Sand found the body of the Kazekage and learned the truth about being tricked. They made a new alliance with us and we accepted, which was good in the long run. Now after the funeral Jiraiya took me with him to find Tsunade Ba-chan, at which point he taught me Rasengan in 2 weeks. We were attacked by Itachi and his partner. Sasuke somehow showed up and got his butt kicked. They are a part of an organization named Akatsuki. I can't wait to meet Itachi Ajian. I've got a Gengetsu that will render the Mangekyo Sharingan useless. That will be the last day he will ever be able to use his Sharingan, Naruto stated, and everyone else was taken aback by the declaration. Kakashi inquired, how do you know it will work? It was easy when I used it on him during the last battle. Naruto briefly had a distant expression in his eye. Battle. I was able to permanently blind him with it. Kyuubi said, I understand what you were just thinking, Naruto, and if this works, then we won't have to worry about looking around the room. And then to Naruto and seeing him shake his head continued, your fiancé and soon-to-be child. Everyone else assumed that was a sensitive topic and decided to ignore it for the time being. With a sigh, Naruto went on, we located Shizune Ni-chan and Tsunade. But Orochimaru also discovered her and wanted her to heal his hands. He gave her a week to make up his mind, promising to revive her brother and fiancé copyright in return. After arguing, she and I decided to place a wager. I had a week to learn the third step of Rasengan. If I failed, she would take my wallet. If I succeeded, she would be recognized as a potential Hokage and give me her grandfather's necklace. There was a major battle at the end of the week, and although I won the wager, Orochimaru managed to get away. Tsunade Ba-chan healed Kakashi and Sasuke from the Itachi Mangekyo Sharingan attack after we returned. The Sound 5 that came to get him upgraded his curse seal to the second level, which is equal to me with Kyuubi power, and a two-tail. After the 4 Genin and 1 Chunin, Shikamaru went after him. Shortly after that, Sasuke left the village to join Orochimaru in order to gain enough power to kill his brother. Lee followed us and unintentionally switched his Medicane bottle for sake. Gia, listen very careful, do not give Lake, ever, he is a drunken master. In any case, we had a fierce battle at the Valley of the Ends, and I couldn't bring myself to kill him. I'm not sure if I will be able to kill him the next time, but I received 2 upgraded Chidoris to the chest, which were even more potent than a level 2 Rasengan, and he still defected. If Kyuubi hadn't stopped making new blood, I would have perished. Fortunately, Kakashi was able to reach me after discovering Sasuke was gone, and the Sand Sib were there to assist. Gaara covered Kiba, Neji, and me with his sand coffins, which acted as a kind of skin, or else we would have all perished, Naruto remarked. Shizune helped Choji after he took his special family 3 food pill, and Tsunade helped me even though no one else would. Naruto interrupted, asking, what do you mean by switch body? Orochimaru had to wait 3 years to take over Sasuke's body because he had to change from pain. He can change your body by using an immortality jutsu that he learned from the Akatsuki leader. All he needs is a drop of your blood in his body to accomplish this. We had missed saving him by 1 day. Sageria, Sakura-chan, and I went to get him once he had the body of Sasuke. He was practically unbeatable as we went to rescue them. I rescued Sakura-chan from Kabuto's capture, while Orochimaru killed Jiraiya in the body of Sasuke. In the end, I managed to kill him, but we were unaware that Kabuto was a spy for Akatsuki. After that, Sakura-chan and I split up into a 2-man team in Abnu for 2 reasons. First, to allow us to spend a lot of time away from here, and second, to make it more difficult for Akatsuki to find me. Unfortunately, they made the decision to take action that would put me in the public eye. Attacking every nation, 8 of them destroy villages and enslave children and women. Konoha came next, and the only reason Gaara survived their attack was because an elder had a jutsu that could give someone their life back in exchange for theirs. In order to use them as slaves and bait, they permitted all of the women and children to survive. Gaara shielded them when they were compelled to enter the sand village. Sakura and I went to the beach and prepared for an attack. After learning everything, Akatsuki was attacked by Tsunade, Gaara, Hinata, Sakura, Kankuro, Tenten, Ino, and myself along with 100 Junin, 200 Chunin, and 500 Genin. We kind of killed them all. What kind of Naruto do you mean? Asama inquired, but Kyuubi chose to go on since Naruto was too overcome with emotion at the moment. He is saying that it was very expensive because only 3 people survived in the end. Sakura, him, and the Akatsuki leader. He was extremely strong. Whenever one of the demon hosts was on the verge of dying, he would switch bodies with the demon and take them. When he did so again, he had 8 of the 9 of us. He had Sakura as a hostage, and she was bleeding from a small cut on one cheek. He teased Naruto by licking the blood off her face. He was ready to take control of Naruto after he had already obtained some of her blood during the fight, but she abruptly jumped in front of him, and the leader took her body. I then gave him an explanation of a strategy to make things better because, even if he killed the leader, his only true motivation for living would also be dead. We then came to an agreement whereby he would receive my full support and knowledge, and all he would need to do was safeguard everyone he cared about. Then, as you are aware, we returned here to this day. I believe he is mentally tired, and I'm out of chakra, So CYA. And with that, the Kyuubi clone vanished into smoke. If no one objects, could someone take him home and keep him safe tonight? After a period of silence, the Hokage said, please take him to my house tonight for me and remain there until I arrive. I want you all to review this information in your minds and think of ways to help him. Asama. To write a couple of letters. I need a few minutes. Dismissed. Yes, what can I do for you too? Kakashi and Ibiki approached the Hokage and waited for him to notice them as everyone slowly left, recalling everything they had heard. I had my Sharingan on and as far as I can tell he was telling the whole truth, said Kakashi. First, is he really a sensei-son? I hate to say it, but I believe him also. Not only that, I am worried, I don't know how he can even stand to live right now from the horrors he spoke about, said Ibiki after the Hokage nodded. Yes. With a slight smile, the Hokage said, I believe I know the answer, and I believe you would both agree if you had previously heard him discuss his dream. He may not be old enough, but he is a Hokage both mentally and spiritually. Given that he sees Tsunade as the Goidiami, I genuinely believe he could be the Rokudame Hokage. I hope the people of Konoha can demonstrate their worth to him if he can prevent these tragedies from occurring. The other two simply nodded in agreement. Naruto woke up the following morning in an odd bedroom and said, hey, what happened after I passed out last night? I apologize, but they needed to know what was also motivating you. I told them about the last battle and our agreement, including the aftermath. The elderly man has been checking on you a lot since last night, and you are in his home. I believe you ought to speak with him to see if we can work out a strategy. After getting up and stretching, Naruto went to the bathroom to freshen up before heading downstairs, where he saw the Hokage and his wife sipping tea. Naruto walked over and bowed to them, saying, thank you, Hokage, for letting me sleep here last night. I did not realize I was so tired. I apologize for any inconvenience. The Hokage and his wife also bowed, and the Hokage then said, it's okay. Naruto, yesterday was really trying for all of us. I've already told my wife everything, and she wants to help in any way she can, so feel free to talk here to avoid having to act as a go-between. I now want you to bring the Kyuubi Bushin out. Naruto concurred, created the proper seals, and uttered the words Kyuubi cage human bunshin. Following the appearance of the Kyuubi clone, they all sat down and brainstormed ideas, eventually coming up with a few. Alright, let me clarify. Mizuki continues to fall. After sending for Tsunade and Jiraiya, you will have Kakashi, who will specifically train Sasuke and, once he has completed enough training, allow him to become a hunter nin. In order to pursue Akatsuki and Orochimaru, you are going to have Sakura and I train together with Tsunade and Jiraiya. With Kyuubi's small surprise, Sakura will be able to retrieve all of her memories from the future up to the point where she entered my mind following the mental attack, which will allow us to grow stronger even more quickly, Naruto stated. This way, she will understand why you are pushing yourself, and she can push herself as well. The Hokage agreed. Additionally, it will give them the opportunity to acquire Kabuto and Orochimaru before they have a chance to acquire Sasuke. Naruto and Ibiki left the Hokage office at around 10 in the morning after Naruto clarified that he needed certain weapons and new clothes made. They arrive at the Tenten family's weapons store. When they enter, Naruto walked up to the counter where Tenten was sitting and she started saying, hello, I am Tenten and welcome to the Wolfclaw weapon shop. Could not find the name for the shop. How can I help you? Naruto smiled and said, hi, I am Uzumaki Naruto and I am here to get some weapons made and buy some also. I was told this is the best place to get special weapons made, so I would like first 3 sets of shurikens, exploding tags, and 3 sets of kuniyas. I also need a single-sided katana specifically made. I need it 4 foot tall and I need these seals embedded into the blade. Handing her 3 scrolls with seals in it, and I want the design on it. Even though it may sound bad or stupid, but I need it to be a picture the Kyuubi standing in front of the gates of Konoha with the Yondaime standing on Kyuubi's head and show it protecting Konoha from a 10-headed snake. Also need the handle to be 1 foot long with theses seals embedded into it. Handing 3 more scrolls, and I want the design on it to be a spiral, a cherry blossom, and the leaf symbol. Those seals I am asking put in it have a strange effect on the sword depending on who holds it. I also need this. Handing a small vial with blood in it embedded in the handle. Can you make that for me? Tenten gave a nod and stated, that is an unusual design, but it won't be too hard. We can have it in less than a week. Anything else? Tenten nodded, but she did not understand why Naruto needed these particular weapons. Actually yes, but this is even more specific. I need about 1,000 of these kuniya. Handing a 3-prong kuniya specifically made, and I need them encased into summon scrolls. With the exception of 11 of them, I need the seals that are engraved in that one on all of them. If your dad is here, can you show him that and ask him to throw it? Ibiki questioned. Okay, I understand about the kuniya, but what is so special about the sword and the blood? After Tenten had departed, Naruto nodded and continued. The 3 seals for the blade make it where the blade can never dull or break, allow Kyuubi's power to flow through it and in my element of wind to flow through it without breaking, and the last seal makes it where the sword will grow with me, changing shape and weight to make it perfect for me. The 2 seals in the handle make it where the handle can withstand Kyuubi chakra without melting and allow me to summon it to my hand with a simple hand seal, and the last seal and blood go together. It makes it so no matter what, that sword will be unable to cut anyone who has my genetic markers in them. So even if someone has my blood in them, it would be useless and the sword can still cut them, so unless they are a descendant of me, that sword can cut them, but my family line would be safe from it. Speaking of, be right back. Then there was a yellow flash and vanished. As for Tenten, Dad, some blonde kid named Naruto just walked in asking for a couple of weapons to be made. First was a weird sword. I have all the detail wrote down, but then he asked for 1000 weird 3-prong kunai in 2 weapon scrolls, and he wanted 11 of them to be left out of the scroll. When his daughter described the kunai, Tenten's father, Dustin, became intrigued and inquired, did the boy say anything about the kunai or anything like that? I was unable to locate her father's name. Tenten gave the kunai to her father, who dropped it by accident when he saw it suddenly. There was a yellow flash, and Naruto was standing exactly where the kunai landed. Actually, he specifically asked me to bring it to you and have you throw it someplace safe, said you would know why. Hello there. I bet you got some questions and I will agree to answer them, but both you and your daughter have to keep it a S-class secret, and I have Ibiki with me in the other room so he can verify what I am going to tell you and make sure of what info you have. Okay. The 2 of them nodded and Tenten left to find Ibiki. After everyone was sitting in the living room, Naruto spoke, okay. This is a S-class secret I am fixing to say, so you cannot repeat it, okay? My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I am the son of Uzumaki Aishi, otherwise known as Yondaime Hokage. I am also the living prison for the Kyuubi. Don't worry about the old Mons law. The loophole for it is I have the right to decide who in my generation knows about it. And I know you are probably thinking that I am lying about this, but Dad could not kill it since it was immortal. Instead, he sealed it in me. I actually know more than what you may think I do. I want you to know the truth of what happened 12 years ago so that you won't be afraid of me or the strange weapons that I am asking you to make. As you know, the Kyuubi attack here, but what you don't know is that Kyuubi was bound by this, holding out the summon scroll for foxes to do what it says, and I know you are both smart, so when you finish the scroll, read the name on it before mine, then you should be able to figure out what actually happened. After letting them both read it and then saw the next to last name, Dustin nodded and said, I know what happened and I respect you for what you just told and showed us. If you need weapons, please come here anytime and we will work on your order as best as we can. Naruto nodded and said, I thank you for hearing me out and listening to me. I have already given my orders for the sword I need. I'll explain about the seals and blood. Know the 3 seals for the blade make it where the blade can never dull or break, allow my element of wind to flow through it without breaking, and the last seal makes it where the sword will grow with me, changing shape and weight to make it perfect for me. The 2 seals in the handle make it where the handle can withstand my chakra without melting and allow me to summon it to my hand with a simple hand seal, and the last seal and blood go together. It makes it so no matter what, that sword will be unable to cut anyone who has my genetic markers in them. So even if someone has my blood in them, it would be useless and the sword can still cut them, so unless they are a descendant of me, that sword can cut them, but my family line would be safe from it. I will probably have another sword I need made, but a little different soon if things go like I hope, but anyway, I'll come by tomorrow and get my standard weapon, and I will need some weights also, but I need a simple seal put on them. Okay, can I have a scroll real quick so I can write the seal on it? Naruto created a seal on a blank scroll that Tenten and her father had never seen before. Okay. This seal is called a gravity seal. You put it on weights and clothes, and what it does is based on how strong you are when you first use it. It will double the gravity on you based on your strength, so that you always have what feels like 20 pounds of dead weight on you no matter how strong you get, but if you dispel the weight you will move like you walking on air. I will give you this seal as a sign of trust to pay you for respecting me and also for you craftsman skill. Please, when I come by tomorrow, add the price of the blank scroll to my bill. I'll always do my shopping here and try to get any teammates I have to come also here as $500 as advance payment for the weapons. We still got to go get me some new clothes. I hope you have a good day. Oh, and Tenten, when I come by tomorrow, I'll bring a seal for you to help with Lee and Gia. And that was that. He was then given some green and black Junin clothes along with a coat with straps for his sword by Naruto and Ibiki. And numerous weapon and scroll pouches. However, the spiral design was present on all of them. Following their departure, Naruto said, Ibiki, I need you to take me to school and make it look like I have been pulling another prank on the old man. I know I have asked too much of you already, but I can't just make it seem I have changed so much overnight or somebody might get suspicious. I also know you will be the examiner for the written test of the Chunin exam. Don't worry, I'll keep my mouth shut unless I see one of the rookie 9 losing confidence. I will try to get you all the info I can on everything so you can try to be prepared. It really bites sometimes to be hated. Anyways, I have a fake scroll of sealing made so it will be safe tonight for Mizuki, and I want you to know I have a seal that will make it easier to control him later so he does not escape Aegean. Naruto, you are an amazing man. I think I would be honored to serve with someone like you. You have an incredible intelligence even if you were treated bad. I think if things work out the way we hope favorably, then I might even have a position for you in intelligence, Ibiki said, half smiling as he looked at him. Smiled, thanks Ibiki. Oh yeah, I just remember your brother is doing okay. He is in Tea Country right now. He is an assistant to a good man. One of the 2 bosses on the island, but the other boss is a bad man. If you can, you might want to have some of your men go on that mission. When it comes, the Other boss hired missing Nin from here and he has the second's legendary sword. It took a Chidori and a Rasengan to beat the main enemy ninja, but those were some of the best times back then. Well, we're here at the school, so might as well go into dumb mode. Ibiki arrived and pulled Naruto into class by the collar of his orange jacket while Iruka was seated in his classroom preparing for the final exam. The class erupts in laughter as Naruto yells, "Let me go, come on, you know I was only trying to graffiti the Hokage Mountain Aegean, so why are you so upset about it?" Iruka simply shakes his head before getting up and approaching Ibiki and Naruto. Then Ibiki says. He releases Naruto, leaves the classroom, and heads to the Hokage office after saying, "Naruto, if I catch you doing that Aegean, I'll put you into an interrogation session for 12 hours, and that goes for anyone else also. We're going to begin the final test, so when I call your name, follow me into the other room." Iruka continues. Class, calm down or else. And Naruto, why do you always have to try pranking and not take class seriously? After everyone else had finished, it was Naruto's turn, so he purposefully failed and pretended to have done it the first time. Meanwhile, Ibiki said, "Sir, he can be a great leader one day if he wanted to be, and you should have been there to see how he handled each situation. Anyway, that is my report and notice of who knows the truth, and I have everyone who was here last night standing by to spring the trap." And Naruto already made a fake scroll, so all you have to say is someone stole the scroll tonight after 5 and say look for Naruto because he may have seen who did it since he was here before it was taken in this manner. Mizuki can be apprehended and he won't face any more hate. Now fast forward to that night in the forest. Iruka sensei, I see you found me, huh? Mizuki is going to be so surprised when he see what I already learned. Just then a large shadow shuriken came straight at Iruka's back. Naruto pushes him to the side and then gets hit by it. Iruka starts to scream but stops when he see a log laying where Naruto just was. Then all of a sudden Jia, Ibiki, Enko, Asama, and Kakashi all appear and Mizuki, who was just standing behind Iruka, gets ready to attack. Suddenly 5 Narutos appear. The first 2 kick Mizuki in the air and yell, "UZ." The next clone jumps on the air and kicks him higher and screams, "I am A." The next clone jumps on the back of the last remaining clone and kicks him even higher and screams, "Ki." Then all the clones disappear and the real Naruto appears above Mizuki and screams, "Naruto Rendon," and drop kicks Mizuki back down to earth, and Naruto lands next to him afterwards and says to the Junin, who watched with amusement, "He's all yours Ibiki, have fun." Iruka sensei, want to go with me to the Hokage Tower? After we get there I'll let the old man tell you everything. A few hours after hearing the truth about Kyuubi and everything that would happen, Iruka was still sitting in the Hokage office, his mouth hanging open in shock. So Orochimaru is to blame for everything back then. "I'm sorry Naruto for everything that has happened to you," Iruka said, "although I wish we could tell everyone the truth. That would be a waste of Naruto's opportunity, and I don't believe it would be safe for him to do so again. What is the current plan?" So, tomorrow is team selection, and the idea is for Sasuke to be chosen as Kakashi's pet project before. When everyone had left, Naruto began to speak. "Hey Sakura-chan, I was just wondering, what type of ninja you want to be? A genjutsu specialist or maybe a medic nin? Or maybe I don't know, have you thought about what kind?" Team 7 had been waiting for their sensei the following day. Sakura was initially irritated with Naruto, but now she wanted to hear his next words, so she said, "I don't know why." Naruto nodded and continued, "Well, I remember reading about the differences in male and female ninjas, and I remembered that it said female ninjas had better chakra control and mental paralysis than male, but they lack high volumes of chakra like males. But even though males have more chakra, they lack the control females do, and I know females make better medic nin and genjutsu specialists, so I just thought I would ask to see if you had thought about that." Sakura yelled, "Baka," and struck him over the head right away, but she thought that was a clever move and that he was being kind for once. "I can't tell Sasuke, though." "Sorry Sakura, I just was wondering because if you were interested in being a medic nin, then I was going to give you some medic scrolls an old friend gave me when I was younger. I never had good enough chakra control to do them right. I only know how to do a basic scan and light healing. If you change your mind, I could let you have them free since we would be on the same team and give you a chance to be more important to the team. I mean, sure, you could be a powerhouse, but even powerhouses get hurt and need medic. Some even say they're the strongest member of the group because of all the torture they go through so they can save lives. Just then Kakashi walks in and tell them to follow him to the training grounds. As they arrive, Kakashi stands in front of the memorial stone and states, I want each of you to take a moment to read the names on this stone and see if there are any relatives or friends you know. The names on this stone are heroes who died protecting this village and their loved ones. After a moment for each of them to review it, Kakashi began to say, this is the bell test. There is only one bell. The person who can take the bell will pass, the other two fail and will have to go back to the academy. You have 3 hours. Remember to look beneath the beneath. Ready, begin. At that point, all 3 of them left. Kakashi was aware that Naruto had promised to work on teamwork with Sakura and give Sakura the reason he was being taught by Kakashi, so he scanned the area and could feel both of them, but he couldn't even tell where Naruto was. Damn, he is good. His stealth is as good as any ABNU I know. Maybe even better than mine. Just then he heard Sakura's muffled scream, indicating that Naruto was already there. Naruto had just returned to Sakura's side and instantly covered her mouth to silence her, saying, Sakura, it's just me. Relax, I didn't mean to upset you so much. I covered your mouth because I didn't want to reveal your position. Either follow me so we can discuss and come up with a plan. In a whisper, Naruto says, if you want to hurt me, at least wait until we are out of earshot. He then takes his hand off of Kakashi and slowly slips away from him. Sakura wondering, Sasuke must think I'm weak. How did I get stuck with a baka like Naruto? At least he's trying to use his brain. I have to get that bell, Sasuke thinks, because I can't let myself fall behind and I need to get stronger so I can murder my brother. Alright, Sakura, you can scream at me and hit me right now. I understand that you would prefer that Sasuke help you pass this test, but I also know that he wants to be the hero and handle everything by himself. Sensei asked us to look at the name first, and I believe that was the reason. Here is my head, go ahead and hit me, he says, sitting on his knees and putting his hands together in front of him. Heroes remember those who died defending their friends. Doing everything yourself is a good way to ensure you die alone and not remembered. Get up, Naruto. I hate to say it, but since we don't know where Sasuke is, I guess I got no choice but to team up with you. Sakura is shocked by this. How does he know what buttons to push to keep me from being angry with him? When he says, since there is only one bell and I know you already know everything at the academy and I passed by luck, I will let you have it when we get the bell so that you can go away and become a great ninja. Naruto gets to his feet and surprises her once more. I'm not lying to you or anything, so let's make plans. 30 minutes later, Sasuke has stayed silent waiting for his chance to strike when Naruto suddenly starts fighting Kakashi. He used a loose form of Taijutsu but makes it seem like he is actually trying. Kakashi gets an idea and he appears behind Naruto with his hand in a tiger sign and says, Konoha's secret art, 1000 years of pain. He then sticks his fingers in Naruto and Naruto seems and flies into the air. He then turns into a puff of smoke and the real Naruto jumps out of the ground at Kakashi's feet. He then starts attacking Kakashi, luring him closer to Sasuke's position. Then Sakura launches the traps she set up as kunya, rocks, twigs and anything else she thinks might help to distract Kakashi come flying at him and leading him closer to Sasuke. Then a kunia Naruto throws cut the string holding the bell to his pants. Naruto charges Kakashi, luring him away from him, and Sakura run toward where the bell is to get it while Naruto is still attacking. Just as Sakura starts to reach and grab the bell, Sasuke jumps on her, knocking her to the ground, and Sasuke reaches and gets the bell. Kakashi and Naruto, who were only actually doing a heavy spar, watch everything, and when Sasuke hit Sakura he felt a little killer intent coming from Naruto, and when Kakashi looked into his eyes he notices they are red slits, but then Naruto closes his eyes and a couple of tears fall down, and then when he opens them they're normal blue. Kakashi holds up his hand and Naruto stops. They both look at Sasuke and Naruto walks past him to go check on Sakura while Sasuke walks up to Kakashi with a smirk on his face. Naruto thought, I wish I could kill him right now if we ever get a chance to. If he betrays us again, flash me this memory. You okay, Sakura-chan? You need any help getting up? You almost had it and the plan did work, but Sasuke outsmarted me since it was my idea to lure Kakashi away so you could safely get the bell. Deal Kit, that Gia is even worse than I am, which is really awful. I believe we ought to see how your friend is doing. If you don't mind, I can check and see if there is major damage and heal that bruise on your cheek and you want me to. Sakura, meanwhile, had just recovered from being struck by Sasuke, and she was thinking, yeah, great. Here comes the baka, I wonder what he is going to say. I can't believe he hit me like that and on purpose just to pass a stupid test. Is he genuinely attempting to be kind? If you don't mind, I can check and see if there is major damage and heal that bruise on your cheek if you want me to. You're okay. Sakura-chan, you need any help getting up? You almost had it and the plan did work. But Sasuke outsmarted me because it was my idea to lure Kakashi away so you could safely get the bell. Sakura nods okay and says, well, my day can't get any worse, might as well let him try to heal me. You sure you can do this? I mean, you did say you're not very good at it. You don't get hit as many times as I do without learning how to heal some of the bruises, Naruto says with a smile. His hand turns light green, and he closes his eyes before holding it over Sakura's face and gradually healing it as well as the spot on her back where Sasuke hit her. When he opens his eyes, the glowing stops, and he asks, does that feel any better? I couldn't find anything else wrong, but if you start hurting you might go get checked out just to be safe. Naruto may have a point about being a medic nin as he helped Sakura to her feet. He said, well, if you are not hurting anymore we may as well go congratulating Sasuke and find out what we have to do now. As they walked over to Kakashi and Sasuke, Naruto was making one-handed ABNU signals to the person watching to tell them to continue. Sakura thinks, hey, I feel pretty good now. The baka actually can be useful and he acts like he is actually concerned. I need some time to think. Well done. Sasuke, you went above and beyond to ensure your victory at all costs. So Kakashi senses what's happening now, Naruto inquired. Well, the truth is straightforward. There was a reason my test was unfair. I requested permission from the Hokage to choose one member of my group to train since I am a former ABNU captain and my abilities are too strong to instruct a genin team. I had made the decision that whoever received the bell would become my apprentice and receive assassination training since I intend to return to my previous role as a hunter nin and track down missing nin like Orochimaru and Itachi. That implies that Sasuke will be my apprentice, I suppose, Kakashi said. At that moment, an ABNU member emerged and said, Kakashi, have you managed to decide which one? The ABNU vanished after Kakashi nodded and said, then the other two are to report to the Hokage Tower at 4 this afternoon. All right, Sasuke, let's head out and begin training. Follow me. As he and Sasuke departed, Kakashi wished Naruto and Sakura luck and hoped everything would work out. Well, that stinks, but at least we might not have to go back to the academy. I want to go get something to eat. My treat wherever you want. I got some stuff I need to pick up. If that's okay I can pick them up on the way if you want to, Naruto said. Turning to Sakura after concealing a smirk, we could then proceed to the Hokage Tower to see what's going on after we finish our meal. However, we can always meet at the tower if you have other plans. It's up to you, Naruto said. Do you have anything to pick up? As Sakura inquired, Naruto replied, I want to give you some time to get used to me if things are going to change, so why don't we just get some ramen since I know that's all you really eat anyways. I got some new clothes that I had delivered to a friend's weapon shop to get some custom work done plus my weapons I ordered I need to check on. Hello again. Naruto, I got your standard order finished, but Dad said he needed you to test something about those 2 special orders you made, Sakura said after Naruto and Sakura left Ichiraku, Naruto's favorite ramen shop, and arrived at the weapon shop where Tenten lived. Tenten grinned and said, if you follow me, I'll show you where he is, and you can come too, miss. As they were browsing the store, Tenten paused and said, Naruto, why don't you try some of those on and make sure the seals are right before we get to Dad? My name is Haruno Sakura, and I would like that, Naruto agreed, saying, don't want to lose a special customer because of a small mistake. He entered the dressing room, put on his black outfit, and activated the gravity seals on everything. Once he was certain everything was working, he turned them off and left the changing area while still wearing his new outfit. Naruto stated, the seals worked great, but it might take a few days to get used to it. As a result, I already cancelled the effect because I won't be able to use it while doing these tests. That reminds me, Tenten. Sakura, let me see your forehead protector as well. You're going to love this. Tenten nodded and gave her his forehead protector, taking his off as well. Sakura was intrigued, so she agreed and gave it to Naruto, who quickly wrote out a seal, put on all 3 forehead protectors, and then touched the seal with his blood, causing it to glow white for a brief moment before stopping. Naruto then gave each person their forehead protector and said, if you ever have someone who loves to scream like Lee, Guy, and Ino, all you have to do is touch your forehead protector with your thumb and it will activate, and no matter how loud someone screams, it will sound just like we're speaking right now. Where is your dad, Tenten? Tenten turned to face Naruto and said, if this seal works like you just said, I am going to find you and kiss you. Sakura had an evil expression on her face and Naruto laughed a little, saying, if Naruto is telling the truth, I might just kiss him too. Okay, Dad is just over there so I got to go take care of the shop later, Tenten said. As Naruto began to approach Dustin, He held up a three-pronged kunai and showed it to him from the other side of the room. When it struck a training log, a yellow flash appeared, and Sakura saw that Naruto was standing by the strange kunai, pulling it out of the log. He then examined it with a smile on his face and said, "Exact detail, perfectly balanced, and the seal worked better than the original. I am indeed impressed." The man then said, "Thank you, Naruto. Now that I know how they need to be done, I can have your order done by next Monday. But I need you to look at the sword. I am finished except for adding the detail design. But I was hoping you could try it because I am not sure if what it did is the way those seals work for sure." When Dustin brought a sword case over and placed it next to Naruto, he said, "Sure, let me see it and I will be able to tell real quick if it works right." Naruto opened the case, grabbed the sword, and it immediately changed shape and weight. "Sakura, I need you to help me with the last two seals test, and if they work right." Sakura approached Naruto, and he gave her the sword that had transformed once more just for her. "All right, let me explain what I need you to do. The first seal I want to test is the bloodline seal, which means that no matter what, the sword should never be able to cut me. The second test is to take the sword to the far side of the room and see if I can call it to me. Okay, Sakura, try your hardest to cut off my arm as the first test." "Don't worry, it won't cut me." Sakura held the sword above her head and brought it down as hard as she could while keeping her eyes closed. When she opened them, Naruto was still holding his arm out, and the sword was resting on his skin without even scratching. When she saw that the seal was working, Sakura took it as far as she said she could. And then Naruto had the sword back in his hand with a smile on his face. They then departed for the Hokage office after Naruto paid. Sakura said, "Hey Naruto, I have a few questions for you," as they were making their way to the tower. "I thought you were dead last, so why did Tenten say you were a special customer, and how do you know so much about seals? Also, why did you use that strange flash technique?" After Sakura finished, Naruto paused and gazed at the ground for a moment, sadly, before putting on his fake smile mask and saying, "I will tell you everything you want to know, but let's get to the Hokage office first. I have never seen anything like it before." "Okay." He then resumed his stroll, and Sakura followed him slowly, but her mind was racing with questions like why he appeared dejected for a brief moment, what he was concealing, and how he managed to smile so quickly after appearing dejected. The Hokage and Ibiki were the only people in the room when they arrived at the Hokage tower and entered the Hokage's office, where Sakura sat directly in front of the Hokage's desk and Naruto entered and sat by the window. "Hello Hokage, what can we do for you today?" Sakura said. Ibiki performed a few seals and used a Silience jutsu before the Hokage began speaking, saying, "Sakura, I have asked you to come here today so that you can know the truth." The Hokage looked at Naruto and he shook his head slightly so the Hokage would know to continue. "The greatest secret in the world is what I am about to reveal to you. You must remain here until the very end. Once I begin to tell you this information, since you are somewhat concerned about this, I will permit questions. I understand that some of this may make you feel afraid or angry, but you have to stay and hear it all. You will then be presented with two options. Do you realize how important this information is?" The Hokage grinned and said, "I might as well start with the past and go forward from there." Sakura, after Sakura paused and shook her head slowly. "First of all, you and every child in this village have been misled about some information about what happened 12 years ago when the Kyuubi attack occurred. Even the majority of the adults don't know the whole truth because we didn't have all the information that we know. Please, Naruto, bring me the summons contract so Sakura can read it and bring our other friend out." "Sakura, this is the summons scroll for foxes. Please read over it very carefully and read the last two names of who signed it," said Sakura, turning to Naruto, who was performing some hand seals, as the smoke cleared and a man with red hair and red eyes, dressed in black, stood there holding out the scroll the Hokage had requested. Sakura was a little uneasy. "What does this mean? If Kyuubi is dead, then why is this important?" Sakura asked. After reading it a few times, Naruto interrupted, saying, "Sakura, we were told that Kyuubi was killed by the Yondaime, but that's not the truth. Yondaime struck a bargain with the death god because he understood that he could not destroy an immortal thing. Most people in this village are unaware that the newborn he sealed the Kyuubi into was actually his own child, but he gave his life to make it mortal. The worst part, though, is that Kyuubi truly did humanity a favor in a strange, perverse manner. Fortunately, we know who was actually behind the attack thanks to the information you are holding. Orochimaru is an S-class criminal since he detested this village the most. Orochimaru forced Kyuubi to attack us after he refused to destroy every village so he could rule the world. Kyuubi had to follow his instructions or he would have taken control of every summoned creature under Kyuubi, which would have been even worse." Naruto smiled and turned to face her, saying, "Remember asking me what that flash technique I used at the weapon shop this afternoon?" She asked, Who was the child and how do you know this stuff, Naruto? I mean, you were the dead last of our class. Do you recall the nickname Yandaime had? Yeah, he was also known as the Yellow Flash due to some. Naruto looks at her and says, I knew I always loved how smart you were. You were the child, his son. Sakura, that is just a small part of the secret that we need to tell you, the Hokage said, deciding it was time to go on no matter how absurd it sounds. You will have to listen to the rest of it and believe it because it is true. I'll let our other guest tell you the rest. Sakura is currently essentially in a state of shock, and Kyuubi first looks at Naruto before turning to Sakura. Hey kid, I think in all the years we known her this is the first time she was completely at a loss of words. Kyuubi chuckles and then begins to yell, oh yeah, and who are you to talk about me like you know me? I have never met you before, you stupid idiot. Sakura then emerged from her mental collapse. Actually Sakura, the kid and me came back from a little over 5 years in the future to try to change some disaster. Believe me, after all the happy and sad times we had to go through together, you may be surprised about some things. It's true, Sakura, during all the turmoil, the majority of our family members and all of our friends have been killed. I was given the opportunity by Kyuubi there to return and alter the original timeline. We have already begun, but I need your assistance as a result of our growing friendship. Kyuubi struck a deal with you that I was unaware of until recently. Being the apprentice of Godiami Hokage Tsunade, the renowned medic nin, you were able to save my life when I was attacked by a very lethal mental genjutsu on a mission approximately 2 weeks prior to the destruction of Konoha. However, I was unaware that you were pregnant at the time, and I wanted to make sure your unborn child would have an opportunity to get to know you in the event of your death. You met Kyuubi when you were in my thoughts. When I helped you recover from the psychological harm, and why we worked on it, we reached a consensus to give to your child when it grew up. I copied all of your memories and knowledge, only 3 months separate Naruto's memories from those from before we had to return. Sakura, I'm not asking you to feel the same emotions we did at the time. Instead, I'm asking you to accept the memories so that you can assist me in saving all of our friends and loved ones, Naruto interrupted. We would receive even more training if you excluded Jiraiya and Tsunade, who are en route here. The aforementioned change has already occurred, giving Sasuke a chance to escape death for his extreme power-hungry nature. Our team had to be divided for the time being because of this. I understand how much you care for him, and I know you're upset with me for getting involved in your life, but it was necessary to put one life before millions. Before we ask her to make a decision, Hokage, could we give her an hour to consider everything she has heard? I don't want to make her do this against her will. Sakura, if you choose not to get your future memories, I only ask that you refrain from telling anyone what you heard today. Secondly, I don't want to do it, but it might save everyone. Permit me access to your memory and the information you shared with Kyuubi. Perhaps with this additional knowledge, we can make a positive change for what it's worth. Ibiki approached her before he left, saying, I am leaving the silence seal up the whole time we are gone so you can talk to yourself or scream, and if you want to punch something, the Hokage has a target dummy in the corner by the window. After saying, I apologize, everyone left the office. I feel like I am just a piece of chess right now. What should I do? I mean, I would like to know what is going to happen, but I do kind of like the idea of being a medic nin. I think I will do it. But the Baka is going to have to give in too, so it was decided that I will wait until he responds to my request before responding. Sakura sat motionless in her chair, thinking, well, I was wrong. This day did get worse and it is all thanks to the Baka. So, Sakura, have you decided yet, or do you require additional time? The Hokage inquired. I have decided, but I will hold off on telling you until after I have had a chance to negotiate with the Baka. Sakura asked, would you be willing to give me your memories as well as mine, Naruto? Naruto gave her a sad look for a few minutes before asking, it would be extremely painful for you if I gave you all of my memories. I haven't always had a happy life, some of it would give you nightmares for the rest of your life. Would you be able to survive with such terrible memories, or would you end your own life? I would be happy to tell you everything, good and bad, but you should be aware that there is no way to take anything back. Naruto lamented, I wish I could pick and choose which ones you got, but it won't work that way. Sakura gave it some thought and said, alright. I agree to share my memories with you as well, so, how do we go about this? Since you will be asleep for 3 days due to the shock of all the information, let's go to the hospital and do it there, Kyuubi said. After the Hokage informed Sakura's mother that she would be unable to return home for a few days due to a mission, everyone went to the hospital. The Hokage had a room with 2 beds and one in each of them. Okay, here is what we need to do. You each need to have an IV connecting you together. I will do all the seals and your blood will mix to help transfer the memories, so you will have to hold hands and lay still. After I finish I will tell the Hokage and he can have someone heal your hands and Ibiki will guard you both until you both wake up. Kyuubi continued. Sakura and Naruto followed his instructions, and he began applying seals. After 200 seals, they both screamed in agony and passed out after giving the Hokage a nod. Kyuubi vanished in a cloud of smoke. After a day, Kyuubi said, Kit, wake up. Naruto awoke in the sewer where Kyuubi is kept in the cage. He gets up and asks the fox, what do you want? How long was I out? The last thing I remember is we were getting ready to do the memory switch, and now I find myself waking up here. Kyuubi looks at him and responds, It has only been 1 day so far, but the reason I woke you up is because you were fixing to have company and she will wake up on her own. I did not want to frighten her when she sees me, so I thought you could meet her. If you go to the entrance to Mindscape, you will find her there. After turning around, Naruto goes to the location Kyuubi instructed him to go. He discovers Sakura lying on the ground after a few minutes, but she is agitated and clearly ready to get up. Naruto taps Sakura on the shoulder in an attempt to get her to stand up, saying, Sakura, get up, come on. Naruto helps her up after realizing she's awake, but an odd thing occurs. 2 Sakuras are present. Sakura, this might be a dumb question, but why are there 2 of you? Naruto responds. Note that going forward, inner Sakura will be referred to as IP3. That is because Baka, I am her inner personality. Mwahahaya. Naruto simply looks at them both, shakes his head, and says, well, this is my Mindscape where I can talk to Kyuubi. It has only been 1 day so far and Kyuubi told me I was going to have a visitor, so he told me to come meet you. So I guess you both might as well. IP3 is chewing some popcorn. She doesn't know where she got it, but if you watch the show, she can pop things out of nowhere as she follows them and begins saying, are we there yet? 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 Until Naruto finally loses it. He yells, give me the death god over this. Can you ever shut up? Sakura, how do you put up with her? This is incorrect because IP3 is now carrying a chainsaw crank and is yelling, come here Baka. I think you need a haircut. Mwahahaya. As she stalks Naruto through the sewer. Sakura simply shakes her head and tells Naruto, at least she's in a good mood today. You should see her when she gets moody. Naruto's face goes white at this point, and he falls to his knees and pleads for forgiveness. They reach the Kyuubi's cage after calming IP3, and Sakura is a little alarmed until Naruto approaches her, puts his arm around her, and assures her that he won't harm her. As IP3 approaches the cage, she pulls out a tomahawk and a skinning knife and looks at Kyuubi with a lustful expression that indicates someone is completely insane. Hey furball, want to have some fun? I always want a fur coat and a couple of new pairs of shoes. I think those claws would make some good ones. Mwahahaha. As IP3 tries to enter the cage while sharpening her blades, Kyuubi backs up a bit after glancing at her and says, hey kid, if some part of her stays after this is over, do us both a favor and summon the death god to take us both. I am just glad this cage is here. I may be the most feared of all the demons, but she scares even me. EEPP. Do you know where she gets all this stuff? I mean, she has to store it somewhere, right? Naruto leans over to Sakura and asks, do you know where she gets all this stuff? Sakura looks at him and shrugs her shoulders, indicating she doesn't know. Some hour later, after IP3 threatened to give Kyuubi a sex change, Sakura finally overcame her fear of Kyuubi enough to get IP3 to settle and somehow pull out 3 recliners. Okay, I know we don't have much to do until the 3 days are up, so I thought I would show the 2. I am Ian, the 3 of you, a few memories of what originally happened the first time around. Even though you will have both of your memory, I will show you what I seen. Kyuubi, who now has a mohawk on his head thanks to IP3, says as he sits with his tail between his paws. After giving it some thought, Sakura concluded that since she was so deeply in love with Sasuke, she might as well try to find out what had happened to him. Show me everything that happened to my Sasuke. Kyuubi first glances at Naruto, noticing the pain on his face that IP3 notices. However, Kyuubi shakes his head, and after a flash of red light, everyone begins to see all of Kyuubi's memories of Sasuke. Sakura is still dreamy-eyed at this point, but IP3 is beginning to see things a little differently. He began by showing them when they were in the academy, then he showed how the teams were chosen, then he showed the training, Sasuke insults, and finally he showed the mission to Wave. After that, Kyuubi showed the mission to the Tea and Snow countries, the Chunin exam, Lee beating Sasuke and Kabuto during the first exam, and Naruto letting out a little growl. Then they showed the Forest of Death and the Curse Mark, followed by the preliminary scenes with Gaara and then Shukaka. At this point, IP3 begins to look at Naruto, Itachi, the fight on the roof, the promise of a lifetime, Sasuke's defection, and the Valley of the Ends, where Naruto nearly dies. Sakura is crying a little at this point, but she continues to watch, and IP3 is becoming enraged after that. They depict another battle between Naruto and Sasuke, Orochimaru in Sasuke's body, his attempt to murder them, and finally the body's demise. Sakura starts crying after that, and when Naruto gets up to try to console her, Sakura screams at him to stop. She then begins hurling her rage at Naruto. "What do you want to see?" "No." Kyuubi asks her. Sakura, who is still upset with Naruto, chooses to take advantage of this opportunity to hurt him because she feels terrible about what he did to her and because he interfered with her life. IP3 steps up and asks, "Are you sure that's?" But Sakura interrupts her before she can finish, saying, "Kyuubi, I want to see everything bad that happened to Naruto. I want to make him suffer like he just made me suffer." "Sorry kid, Kyuubi says, turning back to face Naruto, but Sakura interrupts and tells him to begin. Sighing, he starts. First he show Naruto in his dad's arm looking at his mom body where she died from childbirth. Then showed Kyuubi being sealed, then an assassination attempt. Then the abuse from the orphanage, then living on his own at 4. The beatings, the glares, the abuse, the destruction of his belonging. More assassination attempts, starving, digging through garbage. A sense where Sakura is crying about 5 years old and Naruto goes over to help her and gives her a chance to impress the other kids by being mean to him instead of being mean to her. At this point Sakura is starting to feel a little bad. She remembered that a little bit, but IP3 is furious at Sakura and the village. Naruto just looks on with an emotionalist face showing that he's seen worse. Next showed more abuse, the way parents made kids stay away from him. Then after more hatred it showed Naruto in the academy. Showed the teacher's abuse, tricking him with genjutsu so the classes would laugh at him, ingorning him. More assassination attempts, Mizuki. Team selections where Sakura said she hated Naruto. Then Naruto henge like Sasuke and Sakura telling him why she hated Naruto. The team picking on him, more hate. Demon Brothers, Zabuza, Haku. Sasuke near death. Sakura telling him no. The loneliness. The exams. Sasuke. Akatsuki. Kyuubi, please stop, I don't want to show anymore right now please. Beggarly, Naruto inquired. Sorry kid, I wish I could but unfortunately I am honor bound to finish. For what it is worth I am sorry, Kyuubi replied. Naruto gives Sakura and IP3 a dejected look, then he stands up and slowly leaves the cage room. IP3 approaches Sakura's location, and they both continue to watch with sorrow in their hearts and eyes. They then witness Naruto's forced departure for training, his battles, the deaths of his friends and acquaintances, his near-death experience, the destruction of Konoha, the deaths of all the men, the final battle, and the deaths of everyone, followed by Sakura's sacrifice and, lastly, the hate and glares he had received since returning. Sakura appeared defeated and unable to cry after everything was revealed because she was unsure of what to do. In contrast, IP3 began working on designs for the Naruto fan club while burning all of her Sasuke fan club posters and shirts in order to set up target stumps for herself. She also created shadow clones, giving them the appearance of all of her potential adversaries while wearing a bloodlust expression. Was his life really that bad, or was all of this some sick joke? Sakura asks as she approaches Kyuubi's cage. Kyuubi yelling at her, look, what you saw was nothing compared to what he went through, and he would almost never admit, but if you truly want to help, go look for him. If you want to really know if it was that bad on him, look around, you see this area, how it is like a sewer. His experience in life changes the scenery, and as you can see, this place is not some nice meadow or a 5-star resort. Don't worry, you can't get lost, everything here leads back to either the entrance where you woke up or here. Go look for him and try to talk to him, you might be surprised. I was being a jerk earlier, it's true, the only thing I think about is Sasuke and I see where that got me. I don't know what I should do. Maybe I should listen to the fox and go talk to him. Sakura thought as she listened to Kyuubi respectfully discuss Naruto. I agree with that, and don't think I can hear your thoughts just because I am not inside your head. I am still a part of you, IP3 replied. Sakura first becomes enraged when she sees her other self, but she soon relaxes after realizing her point, and she then attempts to speak with Naruto. Meanwhile, in the hospital room, Kakashi asks, how do you think it's going, Hokage sir? I am not for sure, but is what the third responds before a knock on the door interrupts him. Ibiki goes to the door to see who it is. Jiraiya is allowed into the room and says, the third sent for a letter for me to come and I was told he was here. As soon as the third person recognizes him, he approaches and says, it's good to see you got my letter. I know this is unusual, but something has happened and I need your help, as I know you already know who the boy is and what his legacy is over there. He points to Naruto in bed and shakes his head, saying, well, believe it or not, we got a second chance thanks to the Kyuubi. Jiraiya looks at him as if he's to speak, but the third interrupts him and continues, See, that boy's body is only 12, but he is actually older than that. See, Kyuubi and him use a time travel jutsu to come back to try and change the past. He has told us about a war coming who were actually spies here, Orochimaru killing me, you teaching him Rasengan, summoning, bringing Tsunade back to be the fifth, how she treats him as a little brother, Akatsuki, the other sealed demons, the destruction of Konoha, and also he has shown us the reason for Kyuubi's attack, and based on that info, we were lucky. Okay. I can understand everything you say, but the attack by Kyuubi. How can you say we were lucky? Jiraiya inquires. The third handed the scroll to Jiraiya and said, simply read this scroll for summoning foxes he gave me before they began and look at the last two names. He asked, what do you mean they began and who is she, what's going on? After a few minutes of reading the scroll and determining what had happened, the third person grinned and said, if you also want to know what's going on Tsunade, you might as well come in that window. As she and Shizune enter the window, Tsunade asks, how long did you know I was out there? Ever since you arrived before Jiraiya. Now let me go ahead and answer your question. Jiraiya. See, her name is Sakura Haruno, and believe it or not, she was his fiancée from his future. Because she had to go into his mind and help Kyuubi save his life once a few weeks before he came back. She let Kyuubi keep a record of all her memories, knowledge and experience, so in case something happened to her, he could give that knowledge to the child she was carrying at the time. Right now, she agreed to get her future memories to help us fight, but she also wanted his memories so that I am worried about. The reason I wanted both of you here is in the near future, after I died, you both took one of them as an apprentice. The third member of their team betrayed Konoha and joined Orochimaru to be trained so he could kill his brother Itachi. We are working on changing that already. Instead of be trained by Kakashi here, we have him training Sasuke one-on-one to make him think he is special and make it harder for Orochimaru to get his hands on his body. He finally figured a way to switch bodies, and it is very dangerous for us, the third said. Returning to the Mindscape, Sakura was pondering what she should say to him as she wandered through the sewer. She begins to follow the sound when she hears someone crying while out for a walk. Naruto is sitting with his head between his knees, sobbing quietly, when she finds him. After a moment of silence, he says, don't worry about it, Sakura, the past is the past and we are ninja. Ninjas don't have emotions. We are weapons. Being a ninja is not a job, it is what we are. I am sorry to cause you so much pain. If I could do it on my own, I would. The last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt you. Goodbye. She feels bad and says, Naruto, look, but he interrupts her as he leaps to his feet and turns his back away from her. Sakura is speechless and wondering, what should I do? I don't know anymore. I thought I loved Sasuke, but I never really paid much attention to Naruto. This is really difficult. Perhaps I should talk to the fox again, as he is more familiar with Naruto than I am. She then begins to make her way back to the cage room. The human version of Kyuubi was being treated to a candlelight dinner by IP3, which surprised her when she returned. That's it, I cannot take it anymore. Where the hell are you getting all of this stuff, and why are you having a candlelight dinner with the fox? Sakura responded. Kyuubi simply glanced at IP3, winked at her, and asked, do you think she would want to see what I showed you? In response, IP3 said, well, you can't have all the fun with Gias. Besides, he's sweet if you get to know him. Besides, if you would have asked to see Naruto favorite moments, you might find out you like him. IP3 gave Sakura a wicked smile, took out a bucket of popcorn, and said, watch the show. Me and Q are going to walk around, enjoy. After saying that, she put her arm around Kyuubi, and the two of them began to walk as a video began to play above them. The following day in Mindscape, after searching for Naruto for several hours, Sakura was attempting to reconcile her emotions. She only decided that they would have a conversation and perhaps offer him a date so he could try it out. She begins to notice that the area she is entering now resembles a small forest rather than the typical sewer. She finds a small meadow next to a lake. After a short walk through the forest, she chooses to sit on a big stone off to one side of the meadow and take a short break. She saw someone floating on top of the lake when she climbed up on the stone and looked around in an attempt to process her feelings. She remained there and watched him for a short time. As Naruto awoke, the lake abruptly vanished and the forest turned back into a sewer. As he positioned himself against a wall, Naruto remarked, Sakura, I know you're there, you might as well come out of hiding. I can smell the cherry blossom from your perfume. Sakura said, that was a very lovely scenery. Is it a real place or just something you imagined? As she approached and sat down next to him. Sakura looks at him and responds, I don't know, I felt bad about. You know, Naruto looks at her for a moment before saying, it was a real place. I was just dreaming about something. So what brought you here? I mean, beside the memory transfer. Naruto got up and began to leave, saying, I see, don't worry about it. There is no reason to worry about it, you know. I probably should have just tried this by myself and not gotten you involved. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Sakura stood up and approached him, shouting, "Naruto, stop. Listen. I don't want you to walk away from me right now. I could use some company. This is a lot to take in at one time and I just don't know what to do or anyway. I was wondering, can you do that Aegean with the scenery change Aegean?" Sakura said. After Naruto restored the previous scene, he proceeded to the water's edge and, following a sudden flash of light, changed into nothing more than a pair of swimming trunks. He then entered the water and began swimming. "Show off, I don't have a swimsuit so I can't swim," Sakura yelled as she approached the water's edge and saw him do this. She then crossed her arms and began tapping her left foot. "While we are in a mindscape like this, anything you have a memory of, you can change your clothes and or appearance to show it. That is how I change the environment in my clothes." Naruto chuckled for a moment before saying, "I'll turn around and let you give it a try and I won't turn around until you say I can, okay?" At this point, he turned away from Sakura in the water, and she walked behind a tree and tried it. She was surprised to find that it worked, and she was now dressed in the two-piece swimsuit she frequently wore to the hot springs. She went and slowly entered the water to swim. After realizing that everything was covered and there was nothing to reveal, she told Naruto he could now look after she was neck deep. For what felt like hours, they swam silently until they both exited the water and sat on the beach. They eventually changed back into their original attire, and Naruto asked Sakura if she was hungry. When she said that she was, he closed his eyes and a few seconds later, 2 Caesar salads with ranch dressing materialized in Naruto's hand. "Enjoy, I know it's one of your favorites because you like to look your best," he said, passing one to Sakura. Naruto then changed the scene to the top of the Hokage monument at sunset, where they sat quietly on the fort's head. Naruto asked, "Are you tired? I could change the area again so that you have your own bed to sleep," after they had finished their meal because he was exhausted once more. Sakura gave him a perplexed look but shook her head. Following another burst of light, the scene once more took on the appearance of a log cabin with 2 bedrooms. "I trained here for 2 months during my 3-year training away from Konoha. If you want to freshen up before laying down, there is a nice bathroom fully stocked. I am going to change and go to sleep. Aegean, I am sorry for having to hurt you by doing this. You should probably wake up in your own body tomorrow with the memories, but you might have one heck of a headache," Naruto sighed. When Sakura heard Naruto sobbing, she had just finished taking a shower and getting into some pajamas. She approached his room slowly and peered inside. Another flash showed Naruto standing at the gates of Konoha, where an older Sakura was telling Naruto how she told him she loved him, but he still left. Naruto then made a lifelong promise to bring him back for her. She saw 2 Narutos, one in bed crying in his sleep, the other severely beaten, with a hole in his chest. Sasuke was standing over him, gloating, saying something like he would do anything for power so he could kill his brother, even if it meant giving his body to some bloodthirsty. Then, it showed Naruto in the hospital, telling a tall woman that he needed to leave so he could fulfill his promise to Sakura. Then, it showed about 30 villagers attacking him, accusing him of being a demon for leaving, and then, again, the scene changed to show Sakura being held captive by Naruto, who called him Oric something and promised to sacrifice himself as long as she was safe. Then, with a black lightning attack in one hand, Sasuke launched a sword from his mouth, stabbing Naruto in the stomach. He then struck Sakura in the back of the head before charging Naruto, and a white-haired man leapt in front of Naruto and took the blow. A red glow surrounded Naruto as he attacked Sasuke. After what seemed like hours of fighting, Naruto managed to kill him by snatching the sword that had previously struck him in the stomach, severing Sasuke's head, and then destroying the body with a powerful fire and wind attack. After another flash, Naruto found himself back where they had swum earlier, but this time he was pushing the stone Sakura had placed on top of the white-haired man's grave. He then carved the name Jiraiya, which means, "May all the beautiful women in heaven be at the hot spring you visit." She is a friend, teacher, father figure, leader, and super ultra pervert. He then approached, picked up a sleeping Sakura, and carried her away. The scene then cuts to a hospital room, where Sakura is dozing off in bed and the tall woman from before is sobbing on the floor beside Naruto. After Naruto stops sobbing and rolls over in bed, the room returns to its previous state. Sakura shuts the door and heads to her room, where she tries to fall asleep and eventually does. After hearing Naruto call her name, she woke up a little later and rushed to his room, where she found him sobbing on his bed like a fetal position. She rushes to his bed and holds him because she can no longer bear his suffering. After a few minutes, he becomes calm and stammers, Sakura, what are you doing here?" While wearing a puzzled expression, she leans in and whispers, "It's okay. I'm here for you, don't worry, you won't be alone Aegean. I promise I love you, Naruto-kun." Her heart is breaking as she sees how depressed he is. She then leans into a passionate embrace and gives him a kiss. A bright flash appears and consumes them both as they are kissing. Returning to reality with 2 IVs in her arm, one from a bag of Medicaine and one attaching to Naruto's arm, Sakura leaps out of bed. Naruto is the only other individual in the room, and he is still asleep. She then gets a terrible headache, but it goes away after a minute, and she starts to see flashbacks of all the memories she has of them both. After they vanish, she discovers that she is perfectly normal and that the only way she can recall anything is if she tries to recall a specific memory. When she notices the IV in her arm filling with medication, she instantly knows what to do when she takes it off. Some blood spills from the wound, but she covers it with her other hand and begins to heal it with medical jutsu. She acknowledges that her prior experience taught her that before she can do anything, she removes the one that is connected to Naruto, and it heals almost immediately. She is surprised by that, and then she has the odd feeling that she should ask Naruto a question. When she sees that Naruto appears to be having another nightmare, she gets out of bed and takes the IVs out of his arm, which both heal almost immediately, thinking the same thing. Sakura leans in and slowly kisses him on the lips as Ip3 yells inside her head, "You like him, no huh? Might as well continue that kiss from before you woke up. Hee 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 hee." When he finally awakens, he sees Sakura kissing him, so he begins to kiss her back. "AAAWWW, how cute!" a woman exclaims as a man chuckles and scribbles in it. Before breaking the kiss, Naruto recognizes the voice and the giggle. At this point, Sakura and Naruto are both counting down to 5, and Kyuubi and IP3 are both taking out a bag of popcorn. Naruto then says, "Ero-sanin, if you put one thing about us in your book, I will personally use a Rasengan on everything that makes you a man." And Tsunade Ba-chan, "I am glad to see you, Aegean. I still can't believe you let Jiraiya put you in his book." 5 4 3 2 1 WWWWHHHHAATTTT JJJJARRRRYYYYYAAA. And a green blur follows, followed by a white blur that has been knocked through a wall. Sakura says, "Hello Shizune," right, to the other woman in the room. She nods in agreement and takes a seat on the other bed. "I guess the memory transfer the third talked about really did work, because I know I never met you before," said Shizune. "Shizune, could you do me a favor? When I took the IV that connected me and Naruto-kun together, it healed almost instantly. Can you check me out? I got a funny feeling." Shizune nods and begins to perform a scanning jutsu. Sakura then recalls that rapid healing that she experienced. Kyuubi tells Naruto, "Kid, bring me out quickly, I need to check something." The human form of Kyuubi appears as Naruto performs a few hand seals and declares, "Kyuubi Cage Human Bunshin." A puff of smoke then appears. "Sakura, do you mind if I also do a scan?" he asks after surveying the room, "because I think I might know what happened, but I need to scan you first and then confirm what I find with Shizune." Sakura nods, and Shizune asks, "Who are you?" as he turns to face the newcomer. Sakura laughs, and Naruto slaps his head. Shizune faints as Naruto says, "Let me guess, Shizune, the Hokage did not tell you everything, did he? Oh well, Shizune. Kyuubi, Shizune." After Sakura complies with Ip3's request, an older Sakura appears in the room. Sakura make a Kyuubi Cage Human Bunshin from Naruto knowledge, but change it to Ip3 instead of Kyuubi so I can come out also. The third, Jiraiya Tsunade, who has 2 black eyes and numerous lumps on his head, now returns to the room. When Tsunade notices the 4 individuals in the room and Shizune unconscious on the floor, he asks, "What happened?" Following the explanation of everything and Shizune's recovery, Tsunade and Kyuubi scan Sakura before spending a few minutes conversing in the corner. Then they return to the others and Kyuubi responds, "Well Sakura, after confirming with Tsunade, we both agree that you got an added benefit from this. Not only did you get a permanent boost of about 600% in chakra in your body, but you also got the natural healing ability that Naruto has, which, in case either of you were wondering, any children either of you have would also get the healing factor, which means you are stronger and harder to kill. In other words, you are probably equal in power to Naruto with 3 tails right now." At which point Naruto looks confused and says, "What if she is that strong? Then she is probably the strongest person in the village, right?" "Actually no, you both have a lot of chakra, but no, you both will have to work on endurance and chakra control because you both have to relearn the control for both of you more powerful jutsu." Naruto make an elemental Omega Rasengan in one hand and a normal Omega Rasengan in the other. Sakura make a chakra scalpel, and you both should see what I mean. Kyuubi responded. Jiraiya watches the 2 children and asks, "Question Kyuubi, what is an Omega Rasengan and an elemental Rasengan?" Simple. Jiraiya, an Omega Rasengan is on that combines his natural chakra with mine. The elemental Omega Rasengan and regular elemental Rasengan are ones that he can either hold in his hand or combine with a weapon to intensify the natural wind attack. In other words, if a normal Rasengan did 30% of damage, a regular elemental Rasengan would do about 200% of the original damage, and an Omega elemental Rasengan would do about 800% of the original damage. Kyuubi said, at which all the adults in the room paled to ghost white. I see what you mean, Kyuubi. My elemental Omega Rasengan is only at stage 3 instead of stage 8. In other words, my chakra control is only lower. Chunin no. Hey Kyuubi, how much is my gravity seal weights up to? No, Naruto asked. About 1,400 pounds overall. No, why? Kyuubi asked. I have a question, Naruto said. Dang. I need to get back up to 10,000 pounds as quick as possible. Will I be able to use every technique you know? You will be able to use some of them, and you will be able to switch to your natural element, which is water, if I recall correctly. You can perform the Rasengan or change it to an elemental one, but you won't be able to perform any jutsu that uses my chakra to make it essentially function. The third leaned over to the other 3 adults in the room and said, I suddenly feel a lot older. The others simply nodded their heads in agreement. I figure of the 4,000 just you Naruto knows how to do that you originally did not know how to do. Also you probably could do 1,200 with practice, and the 1,000 that he did not know of yours he might be able to do 400 with practice, Kyuubi said. After about 2 hours of planning they came up with a plan. They agreed on Tsunade, Jiraiya, Naruto, and Sakura moving into the Uzumaki estates for pretty much full-time training since it was isolated, had every need that they could come up with, and was protected by a concealment jutsu to make it harder to find. Only someone who knows how to get past all 3 seals can get in, so a Sharingan can't even get in if they copy the seals because they have to do 3 seals in their head to get in. If someone does not do those 3 also, then they automatically get sent to the holding cell in Ibiki office, or as anyone who has been there calls it, hell on earth. Sakura mom was already told that she would be coming and going for a while because she would be getting trained by the legendary Tsunade, so she agreed, but on the condition she could receive updates concerning her daughter Tsunade. Jiraiya, Shizune and the third went to get the things that were needed there, while Naruto and Sakura left together to go to the weapon shop owned by Tenten family. Sakura began to notice the hateful looks Naruto was getting on the way, so she approached him a little closer and asked, how can you stand all the glares, Naruto-kun? After a moment of realization that everything that had happened over the last few days was real, Naruto resumed his walk and remarked, I am used to the stares because I can't do anything about it. I apologize for exposing you to so many hateful glares. I should caution you that if you truly intend to be with me, everyone including your family may begin to despise you. I don't want to hurt you at any time. I wish I could make things different so you wouldn't have to experience the hate if you wanted to be with me. I remember how terrible they could be to someone. I will understand if you decide that a relationship with me is not feasible because I want you to be happy. I don't want you to feel that you must be with me out of obligation or sympathy, but rather because it brings you joy. Tenten is the only other person in our age group who is aware of the third law, so I would also like to remind you of it. However, she is unaware of the future. It would be easy to overlook something like that if you are experiencing the same difficulties as I am going through all of my memories. Even though I know you are knowledgeable right now, I won't pressure you into choosing between us. You have as much time as you require. I may not always show it, but I am a very patient person, and I would always like to be your friend regardless of what you decide. Sakura simply nodded and saw that they had returned to the weapon store they had been going to. Tenten noticed them as soon as they entered and said, it's nice to see you two again. That seal you gave me, Naruto, is a blessing. The conversation between Lee and Jia is just routine, and they no longer irritate me as much. Thank you. According to Dad, the Hokage came by and paid for all of your weapons already. She was left to go to the back after saying, hey Sakura-chan, I was wondering if you would like a sword like you used to have also. He wants to make sure everything is correct, so I just have to go get Dad. If you want, I can tell you everything you need to know about the seals. It's up to you whether you want to use weights for training, but I believe you're right, Naruto said. If we don't get strong quickly, this will all be for nothing. I'll go get some battle gear and return so I can also get gravity seals. Tell them I know about you, if you don't mind, so Tenten and I can at least discuss it if we run into any issues, Sakura said. If you want to wait here, I should be back in about 30 minutes. Naruto simply nodded, and Sakura quickly departed. Tenten and her father emerged from the rear a few minutes later carrying 2 scrolls, 11 special kuniya, and a sword sheath containing the katana. Tenten's father gave him the katana in an inspection manner, and Naruto took it out of its sheath to see a change for him. He examined it and found that everything was exactly as he had requested, so he remarked, I am even more impressed with the craftsmanship than I originally thought I would be. Both of you are excellent weapon designers. Tenten and her father grinned, and Tenten replied, thank you. Dad wanted me to get a chance to see a once-in-a-lifetime weapon, so he allowed me to help. She was so excited about it she wanted to be here when you got it. I can recognize the difference in the sword details to know it was double forge, which means 2 people had to work on it. That is how I know you had to help Tenten. Your ability to identify the double forging is impressive. I personally examined each of the 1000 flash kunia you asked for. Sakura then showed up carrying bags of clothing. Naruto stated, I want you both to know that Sakura here is aware of the truth about me, so she can receive any messages about me if you need me for anything and can locate her. Sakura handed her bag to Tenten, who proceeded to the back to apply the gravity seal to the clothes she had in it. She also needed a specially made katana. Tenten Dad looked at Sakura and said, since you have Naruto's trust here, we will consider you a special customer here, so if you need any weapons or gear, let me know, and I will also give you both a credit line because I know that weapons can be expensive. The third said that he would deduct any costs you incur from your respective paychecks over time. He advised me to let him know if I needed assistance with either of your weapons, and he would take care of it for someone your age. That is a remarkable accomplishment. Thus, describe the katana you require to me. Sakura gave him a smile and said, I need one that is about 3.5 feet long and double-sided. I know I need the same seals that Naruto blade has, but I want a Sakura tree on both sides with a river next to it and a lightning bolt striking the tree. In order to channel my chakra into it and choose which element to attack with, I also need Naruto to draw 5 elemental seals for it: lightning, earth, fire, wind, and water. Naruto took a blank scroll down, wrote all 5 seals on a single scroll, and handed it to Dustin. Tenten returned with Sakura's clothes and handed them to her. I must say you two are going to be a very dangerous team with these weapons, Naruto said. The idea of creating weapons like these katanas has never even crossed my mind. Sakura, I need a tiny cup of your blood so that I can use it in your sword like Naruto's. I should have it done by tomorrow evening. Sakura began to heal her cut hand after giving blood, but it was already finished when they left, so she went home to gather her belongings for the following day, while Naruto went to get his belongings from his apartment so he could move. The following day, Naruto and Sakura met at the Hokage office. Naruto was wearing his new clothes with his sword strapped to his back, and Sakura was wearing her new clothes as well. A blue-green dress with a camo belt around the waist, camo cargo shorts with weapon and scroll pockets, leg-wrapping bandages similar to those worn by Ino, a pair of wrist weights, and combat camo high-top shoes. Everything had the gravity seals on it, and although she was a little slower than usual, she was acclimating. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizune met them there, and Naruto and the third person instructed them on how to enter the Uzumaki compound. After they had passed through the 3 seals and entered the gate, Naruto stopped them. With a blank scroll in hand, Naruto wrote, Okay, the reason I stopped you is because I am going to put one more seal up real quick. After 3 minutes or so, he said, I need all of us to bite our thumb and put a drop of blood on this scroll. When everyone had finished, he rolled it up and called forth a small fox, who said, Hello Lord Naruto, how may I help you today? He handed the scroll to the fox, and it quickly took off. Naruto looked at him and said, I need to run around the perimeter here completely with this scroll, and you must stop in the exact spot you started to finish the seal for me. I asked you for the blood because that is a 5-part seal, Naruto said. The first thing that will happen if someone is knocked out by one of the other seals, even if they are not one of us or are within 5 feet of us, is that they will be instantly knocked out. Next, each of us will get a vision of who it is. Third, it will put a damage blocker on everything inside the barrier, meaning that no matter how powerful an attack we use, everything will be back to normal within an hour. Fourth, there is a sound barrier, and the 5th is my favorite. In addition to making it impossible for anyone with our blood to die in this sphere from anything other than natural death, it also blocks all chakra sources to the outside world. From the air, it appears to be the surrounding environment. If someone is a revived warrior, like Snake Face, it will instantly destroy you. Additionally, if someone is using any chakra other than the normal life chakra, they will also be knocked out, making genjutsu and bloodline limits ineffective. Therefore, this will be the ideal battlefield for us to fight on if Itachi or any Akatsuki member manages to break through the other seals. As the fox completed his circle of the area, he stopped exactly where he had begun, and the scroll flashed a bright light before disappearing. Is that all, Lord? The fox asked. It is powered by all of the summoned bosses that are under my rule, Naruto said. When the fox said, No, I need you to tell all of the summoned bosses under me to come this evening about 6 to meet me. Tell them I request their presence so I may formally introduce myself to them so I may rule wisely. Naruto wrote some notes on a scroll and handed it to him. Additionally, I want you to show that scroll to all of the foxes so they understand why I intend to follow its instructions. The fox then departed, and when he was done, he said, "Let me bring Kyuubi out and let him explain to everyone." Everyone was staring at him. The third already knows this, but I want to be honest with all of you. He then performed some hand signals and said, "Kyuubi Kage Human Bunshin." He then performed more hand signals and said, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." Sakura gave him a questioning look and said, "Anything a Kage Bunshin learns or does, as long as it was not destroyed when it dispels itself or you dispel it, you learn what it learned. It helps cut down on training time and chakra control exercises, but it doesn't help in physical strength exercises." Sakura understood, made hand signals, and said, "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," and 50 clones appeared. She instructed them to go assist Naruto's clones. Kyuubi paused before continuing, saying, "All right, so I gave Naruto all of my power, but the last tale Naruto is now the lord over everything I was. He is known as the lord over 9 summons, ape, frogs, slugs, falcons, cats, boars, golems, dogs, and foxes, that were under my control. Naruto lives in the mortal realm, but the summons can come here when they have a disagreement. Let's see, I know the third is the summoner for apes, Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura once she signs it again in this timeline are slugs. Jiraiya and Naruto once he signs it again are frogs. The closet pervert Ebisu is cats, despite the fact that he's never been able to summon the boss. Kakashi is dogs. Naruto is also the foxes and whoever he chooses to allow to sign it, and I don't think boars, golems, and falcons have anyone anymore, so Naruto has the right to choose who can summon them. Finally, before anyone asks why Naruto doesn't have my last tale, the answer is 3 simple. We created a new seal because, first, if he got that tail, I would vanish. Second, if he absorbed it, he would become half demon and live for at least 1,000 years. And third, if he absorbed it, anyone he truly loved and mated with would also become half demon, as would any children they had. This allows me to communicate with him and offer guidance. Additionally, it allows him to use all 8 of the other tails without causing harm to his body, and it lets me have a Bunshin body like this as long as he agrees to let me. However, I am limited by his durable Bunshins, a killing blow, or chakra depletion, and I can return inside at any time. I can also freely move around his mindscape, but I am unable to take control of any part of his body without his permission. Well, I'm going to take a nap. CYA, Kyuubi said, and vanished. Following that, Naruto put on his fox smile while holding his hand behind his head, and both Sakura and Naruto passed out. Tsunade and Shizune roused them both a few minutes later, asking, "What happened to the 2 of you just now?" Information overload. Using as many Kage Bunshins as we did knocks you out for a few minutes so your brain can process all the new information. I usually get knocked out for a day when I use 1,000 clones and they all dispel at once. 321 Jiraiya is sent into the ground by Tsunade. Naruto took the opportunity to say something like, "I still don't know how I was able to travel 3 years with him and not become a pervert. In fact, I hate perverts even more now. Ladies, I am going to do something that is really going to tick Ero Sanin off." Anyway, the compound is clean and ready for use, and so are the grounds, Sakura said as she got to her feet. "I'll make you a scroll with a seal on it." Tsunade that got Naruto 3 kisses and 1 sobbing pervert. Anyone of the opposite sex will be unable to view anything within 100 feet radius of where you originally use it if you take it into the hot spring with you and channel some chakra into it. Naruto, I know you are all ready to get started training, but have you thought about those other 3 summons who you might give the right to? The third person responded. "I have been thinking about it and I have a couple of requests that won't be easy but they need to be done," Naruto said, glancing at him and the others who were standing there. "Along with those 3, I was also thinking of the fathers of Ino, Shoji, and Shikamaru. Although they are respected and did treat me well the first time, I am aware that they are not big families. In addition to everyone who already knows about me from the future, I would appreciate it if you could bring all of the summoners and them here at around 5 o'clock today. If at all possible, you should also provide the rookie 9-Sasuke with survival training in the Forest of Death. Although I am aware that he or she will be challenging, I have a strategy to assist. I would like Hinata to receive medic nin training as well, if Tsunade and Shizune agree. Everyone will benefit from that in a few ways. First, Hinata will gain strength and improve the Hyuga's reputation. The only Hyugas I want here are Neji, Hinata, and Hiashi. I have a one-time, 2-way transport scroll for you that can bring everyone in your office here and back if that works, so no one will know where we are. 2. It will give us more assistance with the wounded and additional field medic. 3. It will boost her confidence, which will also make Hinata look better as an heir. 4. It will also make Hiashi respect her more. Bring Sakura's mother along as well. I don't like Ebisu, but he keeps your grandson alert. Feel free to bring Konohamaru as well. I'd like to ask Enma to permit Asuma and your grandson to be apes as well. Perhaps it will help me later on if I tell them the whole truth. Because Tenten and Hinata are quick, elegant, and have the eyes of a good person, I want the Falcon contract to remain in the Inos family. For this reason, I also want them to be able to sign it. I want the Choji family and Lee to sign the Boar contract because they recognize that beauty and power can take many different forms. In addition, they are protective and kind. The golem is a creature of power, wisdom, and respect, so I want to give it to the Shikamaru family. I would like Hiashi and Neji to sign it as well in order to settle the family business. Instruct Hiashi to bring the scroll from Neji dad as well. I am aware that everyone is curious about the Fox contract. This is the first time I have decided to do something that has never been done before. However, I won't know until the meeting. Tsunade and Shizune exchanged glances before the Hokage said, Naruto, I may be a great man, but I think you might make a greater one. The remainder of the day was spent unpacking and getting settled before the meeting with everyone. Naruto, from the way you just detailed everything, we would be glad to add Hinata as an apprentice. In fact, with the third's permission, we would like to train all of the female members of the team in field medic to help save the lives of their teammates, but only Sakura and Hinata will get the more advanced stuff. At 5 o'clock, there was a loud poof sound and a crowd of people appeared out of some smoke. The third told everyone to get some food and drink and then have a seat. After everyone had calmed down, the third began, I know almost all of you are wondering why we are here and where we are. Jiraiya pulled Naruto to the side and had him sign the frog contract, while Sakura used her clones to set up drinks and snacks. We're at a secret special training ground, so the enemy can't find out what's going on. It is crucial that you listen to everything first, even though I am aware that some of the older members of this group may become upset about some of the things you are trying to learn at this point. A few group members began to speak quietly. Now, I would like Naruto to come up and start. I know most of the adults hate me and you have every right to, but you deserve to know why it happened, Naruto said, ignoring it as he moved to the front of the stage and pulled out a large scroll. I've got the Fox summoning scroll in my hand. Before we move on, I would like each of you to read it. It took about 15 minutes for everyone to finish. I know that most of you are wondering why this is important at this point. As the Hokage stepped forward and said, please calm down, some of the adults braced themselves for an attack, but Naruto did a few hand seals and whispered, I will let our guest speaker tell you. You can stop the Kage Bunshin in front of you by simply injuring it. The individual before you is the former lord of the majority of the Konoha summonings, and he is here to explain the reason behind his attack. He's Kyuubi. That's who. Nearly everyone prepared for an attack at that point, but Hiashi got to his feet and said, you said he is the former lord, Hokage, who is the current lord, in a heavy, powerful voice. Kyuubi then began to speak, saying, I will answer that after the truth about my attack is told. If everyone is willing to listen and watch, I can show you all what happened and then we can get to the real reason this meeting was called for. I admit what I did was terrible, but the threat that is coming soon will make me look like a thunderstorm compared to a hurricane. If you will wait until the end, we might be able to save this village and its people. Kyuubi then performed a few hand gestures, and a projection began to show everyone what had happened and why he had to attack. He halted it and took a seat when it reached the section about it being sealed. After about 5 minutes of everyone sorting through their emotions, Naruto stepped forward and started talking. Now that you know why he attacked, I will tell the next part. The Yondaime Hokage realized he could not kill Kyuubi since he was immortal, so he made it mortal by sealing it into a child. He could not just ask some stranger to give up his or her child, so he used his own newborn son. Me, almost all record of what the Yondaime last name was erased and destroyed for my safety. The third was afraid Stone would try to kill me or start another war since they feared his Shushin technique. Anyways, that's all in the past. No, I know all of you think I am only 12 and you would be half right. I came back from a little over 5 years from now to try to save the village and its people. When I came back, Konoha was destroyed. Sand, our only ally at the time, was nearly destroyed. Every other village was destroyed and all women and children alive were enslaved and everyone here was dead. I know many of you have heard about the Sound Village. Well, Orochimaru is the leader of that village. He infiltrates Konoha with 3 objectives: 1. Kill the third, 2. Destroy Konoha, 3. Get the Sharingan. Eventually he get 2 and almost all 3 he forms an alliance with Suna and tricks them after he kills the Kazekage. At this point, Kyuubi starts his slideshow to go with Naruto's story. He takes on the disguise of a grass ninja and was able to put a curse seal on Uchiha Sasuke. I will tell you know that the youngest child of the Kazekage is a Jinchuriki like I am. He holds the one-tail raccoon demon Shukaka right now. He is pretty much insane because the demon won't let him sleep or he will take over Gaara's body and slowly destroy his soul. I was able to beat him the first time around and befriend him, and later I changed his seal so he could sleep and control his demon. He was chosen to be the next Hokage because he was the most powerful one in his village, but I am jumping ahead a little, so let's get back to the war. Orochimaru has a spy in our village right now named Kabuto. He has several abilities. 1. He can heal almost as fast as I can thanks to Kyuubi. 2. He is a very deadly medic nin. He can poison or kill you with his skill. 3. He has what is called info ninja cards. If you give him your name, he will be able to display every skill you have from mission data to favorite attacks or weaknesses. He is very deadly during the final sound and sand attacked, and Orochimaru killed the third by revving the first and second Hokage as slaves, but the third summoned the death god and sealed Orochimaru arms. That slowed him down for a little while. After they found the body of the Hokage, Sand quickly allied themselves with us. We were hurt, but they were worse. The council approached Jiraiya to be the fifth, but he declined, saying Tsunade was the better choice. He took me for 2 reasons with him to find her. 1. He was already training me for the month before the finals and taught me how to use Kyuubi's chakra. The second reason is because of a group called Akatsuki. They are a group of 8 missing nin, all S-class, and they want the power of all 9-tailed demons so they can rule the world. Itachi Uchiha and Kasama, his partners, are members of this group. Those 2 I am ready for this time. The group had started to whisper when Itachi's name was spoken, but when Naruto said he was ready for him, Jia stood up and asked, "How can you be ready for them?" At this point, everyone in the group had stopped talking and was staring at Naruto. Naruto simply grinned and said, "Itachi's main weakness is he relies on his Sharingan too much. I know this is going to upset the honorable Hyugas that are here, but I won't lie. I have a technique that can destroy all I bloodline limits within 15 feet of me, permanently destroying it if I use it. But I will not use it on anyone from the Hyuga family, so you won't have to worry, Hiashi. I understand you pretty well, so I give you my word on that. I will also give the 3 of you here and your other daughter a scroll to sign with a drop of blood that will cancel the jutsu. But only the 4 of you, because some member of your family I don't trust, and I will get to that later. As for Kasama, one of the 7 legendary swordsmen of the mist, his sword is his main strength and biggest weakness. I had a sword made with some special abilities sealed inside, so when I face him I can destroy it and stop him. Also, I know a technique that some of you have seen before but can't be copied." He threw a kunai at a training log at the rear of the group when he said that, and when it struck, a yellow flash appeared where Naruto was. When they turned to face the log, Naruto was smiling and leaning against it. His words, "Flying Thunder God," were followed by Naruto removing the kunai from the log and making his way back to the front of the room. Anyways, Orochimaru found Tsunade a few minutes before we did and made a proposal for her to heal his hands, and he would bring back her brother and fiancé from the dead. He gave her a week to decide. We approached her about being Hokage and she refused at first, but I ticked her off and we made a bet. She bet I could not finish learning the Rasengan in 1 week. Tsunade kept her nickname after that week because I did learn it and used it against Kabuto, even though I had not mastered it at the time. She gave me her grandfather necklace. Speaking of, I really miss that thing. I want to earn that thing again. Anyways, the snake and Kabuto both escaped and we got the Godiami Hokage out of it. Tsunade got over her fear of blood during that fight. Orochimaru finally got the Sharingan after Sasuke defected from the village for his quest for vengeance against his brother. We lost Jiraiya during the battle when we had to destroy Orochimaru and Sasuke body. Now before I continue, we should be having some visitors of Great Honar in a few moments, so when they arrive don't freak out and grab your weapons, Naruto said, and right on K8 summon bosses appeared. Thank you for coming on such short notice, Naruto and Kyuubi said as they approached them. I know the apes, slugs, and frogs know me as Naruto Uzumaki, the container for Kyuubi, but Kyuubi has given me the honor of being the new lord of his domain. To show you that I speak the truth, the only form he can come in unless I summon him is this form. Before I tell you why I asked you to come here, I would like to know if any of you have any doubts or trouble with me being the new lord and following my wishes to the best of your abilities. He waited for each of them to say no, then turned to the group of ninja who were watching and said, "If I call your name, please come forward. I know you current summoner is the third, and I agree with that. I would like to request that his grandson and Asuma, who are blood relation, be allowed to sign the ape contract, and if you wish for them to be tested to see if they are worthy." Asuma, Konohamaru, and the third came moment, and the ape boss looked at them and said, "I have no problem with them signing, and I accept the 2 adults. The child Konohamaru, I will let you sign it no, and you can learn how to summon, but I request you don't summon until you are at least 12, so that a way you will be strong enough so you can summon me, and when you are finally able to I will accept you also." And then they said, "I know that Jiraiya is your current summoner, and I am also a later in time," he said, Turning to face the frog boss, I have resigned it in order to treat you with the deference you merit, and I agree to be tested again if you so desire. You make me proud. Kid, I still accept you and the pervert hermit as my summoners. I won't test you again, but you owe me 2 drinks now. Ha 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 ha. The frog boss laughed, but he still owed you a drink. Then Naruto spoke to the slug. I know Tsunade, Shizune and in the future Sakura are your current summoners. Tsunade has already allowed Sakura to resign the contract and I will trust your judgment on when or if you accept her Aegean. The boss of the slug replied. No need for that, I accept all 3. Then Naruto spoke to the cat. I know your current summoner is Ebisu and I know he has never been able to summon you to be tested, so I know you judge how much chakra it takes to summon you. I only request that you test him sometime in the next 3 months by your choice of test to see if he is worthy of reducing the price to summon your kind. The cat boss laughed and said, I like you, Lord. I will give him a test in 2 months. If he can remove the bell from my oldest daughter neck within the week of the test, I will reduce the cost of summoning me to half of his overall chakra. After bowing to the cat boss, Naruto turned to face the dog boss and said, I know Kakashi is your current summoner and I will leave you and him to decide who is worthy of summoning you, with the knowledge that he must find someone worthy here in this village within 5 years, so you will be respected by the next generation. The dog boss simply bowed his head. The falcon then looked at Naruto and asked, do you have a current summoner? The falcon shook its head no, so Naruto repeated, Falcon boss, I would like for you to allow Ino, her father, and any descendants they have to be honorable to be their summon. I also would like for Tenten and Hinata to be tested for your acceptance. They all have the qualities I see worthy of your kind. The falcon then turned to face the 4 he had summoned over, saying, I have looked into their souls and I see no reason not to honor your request. Do you have a current summon? Naruto then asked the boar, who looked at him and replied, yes, but my current summoner has become unworthy. I request that I be given a wiser summoner, Lord Naruto. Naruto then looked at him and said, I would like to honor that. I would like Choji and his family to become your new summoners, and I would also like Rock Lee to be allowed to summon you, but in his case his chakra does not work normally, so I request he be allowed to summon you with physical energy instead of chakra, but not in a dangerous amount. The boar then shook his head in agreement. Do you have a current summoner? Naruto asked the golem, who replied, no, I have had none that were wise enough to summon me. Naruto grinned and said, Golem, I would like for Shikamaru and his family to become your summoners. They may act a little lazy, but they are wise beyond their years. The golem examined them all and said, I accept them all, but the Hyuga will not be able to summon my kind unless those 2 can come to a peaceful closing in their relationship, then they will be able to. He then told the summons that they could depart. I also want Hiashi and Neji Hyuga to be able to summon you. After everyone had settled down again, Naruto said, now that only leaves 1 summoning left. I have made a decision that affect the fox summon and I have notified them of it. I want everyone here to sign the fox contract. You each may summon 1 fox as a personal summon. No matter the size or the strength of the fox, it will cost the same amount of chakra. That amount is equal to half of Lee total chakra he can use. I am doing this for 2 reasons. 1, the foxes wish to apologize to Konoha for having to attack, so this is a way they can at least get a little of Fear Honar back, and 2, they would be a good ally for the future. The only one who will be able to summon Kyuubi in battle is me, since I have control of 8 of his 9 tails. You each will be able to summon a fox, and based on who and what you are, the fox will choose who is best suited for that fox. The majority of the crowd was chatting among themselves at this point. Hiashi asked, what do you mean you have 8 of his 9 tails? The audience fell silent as they awaited a response. Naruto glanced at Kyuubi and began to clarify, I made it where Naruto was able to use almost all of my power without having to worry about damaging his body. We agree on leaving the last tail alone because of the side effects it would have on his life, so we put a new seal on so he gets all of the benefits of my power with no downside. This is when Kakashi asked, what would happen to Naruto if he absorbed your last tail? Kyuubi looked at the crowd as well as Naruto as he was shaking his head and replied, first, if he got that tail I would cease to exist. Most would appreciate this. Second, if he absorbed it he would become a half-demon and live at least 1,000 years. All his friends would die and he would most likely live a very lonely life unless he found someone to truly love. Third, if he absorbed it, anyone he truly loved and mated with, she would also become half-demon with a long life, and any children they had would also, so we made it where at least Naruto would have a chance of a family or a semi-normal life. If the village ever stopped hating him, well, Naruto, I would like to stay and talk, but my body is out of chakra, so if you need me for anything else just bring me back out, and he did so again. Well, sorry about the distraction. Now I need to tell you about how Konoha was destroyed. Akatsuki got all 8 of the other tailed demons and they wanted Kyuubi. To make it harder for them to find me, Tsunade made me a member of a 2-person ABNU team. Akatsuki got tired of looking, so they attacked Konoha and killed every male in Konoha. They spared the women and children so they could have slaves and servants later. Tsunade led the survivors to sand and Gaara protected them. I know some of you are wondering how Gaara is alive. When we went to retrieve him after his abduction, one of the elders of Thier village came with us. She used a life-switching jutsu and sacrificed her life so Gaara could live. Anyway, we prepared for one final fight while there in an army of Tsunade, Gaara, Hinata, Sakura, Kankuro, Tenten, Ino. Myself and 100 Junin, 200 Chunin and 500 Genin attacked them. In the end, the only two survivors were the Akatsuki leader after he absorbed all 8 of the other demons and myself. I had about 5 minutes left before he could have absorbed me when Kyuubi and me came back. That's the basic story of everything that's coming, even if you think killing me will keep them away, it won't. Before they attacked Konoha, they completely destroyed cloud, grass, sound, mist and wave country. Well, with this information I would like you all to consider and prepare as best as you can. I also ask you not to notify Sasuke about any of this. We have a plan in motion to hopefully keep him out of the snake bastard's hands, but if he finds out about this, then if the plan fails we have even more of a threat. I also request that you don't tell anyone else about me or any of the info you have. No. The Hokage will notify everyone else a little different so as not to tip our hands. We don't know all of the enemy spies, but we know a few and we are using them to try and find the others. I know some of you might not trust me, but this is the last hope I can try to give us. I can't use that Jutsu Aegean because it would kill me. With that, I would like to let you enjoy the drinks and food for a little while. Before leaving, I would like to see Hiashi, Neji and Hinata for a few moments in private. Thank you all for coming, and thank you Hokage. Naruto and the 3 Hyugas were seated apart from the others after a short while. A seal was being written by Naruto. When he was done, he said, "Hiashi, this scroll is the one I mentioned earlier. The reason I am only want you, your daughters and Neji to sign this is because the Hyuga Council has something they are working on for a while now, and I think you should know about it. I know you don't like people messing with your family business, but I believe you will be glad this one time. First, Neji needs to see his dad's will. He is old enough now, and you will also need his help. This whole mess started because of what really happened back then." Hiashi was initially confused but gave Neji the scroll that his dad had given him. Neji said, "I am sorry, Hiashi Soma, I hated the main family and I apologize." After he had finished reading it, Hiashi simply nodded and turned to face Naruto. Naruto smiled and said, "Okay, what you don't know is that after the Hyuga Council saw the way you acted over your brother's action, they set in motion a plan to remove you from the head of the clan. First, they started putting pressure on you to make Hinata stronger while you and her were suffering over her mother's death so that way they could crush her spirit. Second, they started putting a wedge between the two of you by saying Hinata was not good enough to be heir. Third, they convinced you to start forcing Hanabi to become stronger, putting her against her sister. Fourth, they started telling you Hanabi was more of an heir than Hinata. Fifth, they convinced you to make both daughters fight each other over and over again to put them even more against each other because they knew Hinata could not hurt Hanabi because she is the only thing of her mother she can see. No. Sixth, they make you disown Hinata and kick her out of the clan and put the Cagebird seal on later. Seventh, they start poisoning you so you will have to step down and have Hanabi become heir even though she was not ready. Eighth, after you do that they finish poisoning you. Ninth, they have Hanabi assassinated by a family member. And 10th, they blame Neji for it because they claim he wanted revenge for his father because you started treating him like a main branch after you two made peace after I beat him during the Chunin exam. That is the reason I won't let any of the others sign it, because I don't trust the council and I don't know who exactly is involved. I also want you to know after Hinata was kicked out, Tsunade also made her an apprentice with Sakura, and she has agreed to do that now because she became one of the best 4 medic nin in the village. If you would allow that, Tsunade is going to train Ino and Tenten in field medic also, but not apprentice them. Would you allow Hinata to do that?" Hiashi sat in contemplation for a short time, reviewing all he had heard, and said in a painful way because he knew that some, if not all, of it was true. "Naruto, I will allow Hinata to be trained by Tsunade. Also, I will look into the information you gave me, and if I find it true, can I call on you for help dealing with them?" Naruto said, getting up and holding out his hand. "If you need me, I will come and help as soon as I can. I am immune to the Juken style attack anyways because I can blow open my chakra points. Either go to the Hokage and let him know, or summon a fox and he can deliver a message to me. Also, Neji and Hinata, I want each of you to have one of these. In order for me to give the others theirs, please follow me, I'll then go over them." As this was going on, Tenten cornered Sakura, handed her the sword, and said, "I know Naruto was out of the ordinary, but do you think he's telling the truth?" Sakura glanced at Naruto speaking to the Hyugas before turning back to the Tenten and stating, "Unfortunately, Naruto is only giving the sugar-coated version to everyone. If he is, we need to get ready quickly. He is telling everyone that it was worse. Tenten looked at Sakura and then at Naruto and remarked, I guess nobody really knows what he has gone through and he still acts nice to everyone. Naruto may act foolish at times, but once you realize that it is just an act to hide how depressed he is very loyal to those he respects and everyone here he respects in one way or another. I'm hoping that one day people's perceptions of him will shift. Unfortunately, I know that if he died tomorrow, almost the entire village would throw a party happy he's dead, Sakura said, looking at the ground and crying. It prompts me to reevaluate my perception of the village. What has truly happened to him is unbelievable. He continues to fight in the hopes that one day someone will see past everything and stand by him, even though anyone else would have most likely passed away long ago. Sakura, how do you know so much about him? Sakura chuckled briefly at that and remarked, I assumed you were a part of the Uchiha fan club. Naruto is not the top hyperactive surprise ninja for nothing. That's all I have to say. Naruto said, I am giving these to you in case of an emergency, after giving one each to Lee, Tenten, Sakura, Ino, Choji, Shikamaru, Hinata, Neji, Kiba, and Shino. Throw these close to you if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have any chance of surviving. It functions similarly to a summons. I can travel up to 20 miles in less than 2 minutes after it is thrown because I will feel a tug, but if it is more than that, I might not feel it. He said, I know some of you may be afraid of me, but I am still the same Jia you all knew. Before anyone could respond, Naruto left the meeting and went to rest against a tree, closing his eyes and attempting to do so. Everyone watched him go, but no one spoke. After glancing at everyone, Sakura turned to face her mother and then walked over to sit next to Naruto. You know it won't change anything, Sakura, she said, adding, the ones that hate me will still hate me when this is all over. With his eyes still closed, Naruto said, I want you to know I appreciate you being here for me. Sakura turned to face him and inquired, how did you know it was me and not someone else? You are the only person I have ever known who smells like cherry blossoms, Naruto remarked with a smile. He opened his eyes, got up, helped Sakura get up, and walked to the Hokage after saying, I think everyone is probably ready to go home, so let me see that scroll I gave you so I can reverse it. Well, I guess I better let everyone leave now so we can get some rest for training. After nodding, the Hokage handed Naruto the scroll and remarked, I know your dad would be proud of you no matter what happens now. Naruto completed writing the seal and remarked, that should do it. That scroll will burn to ash 5 minutes after use, so once you return to your office, place it somewhere fireproof. I have to hide this training as much as I can later. I'll see you right now. I'm mentally exhausted. After saying, good night, Hokage, Naruto left for the house in the middle of the compound. Please pay attention to me. Everyone except Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Sakura looked at each other and approached him after the third said, I need everyone who came with me here to gather around in a circle so we can go back to my office. When Ino noticed Sakura remaining behind, he yelled, hey forehead girl, are you coming? Sakura looked at her and said, sorry Ino, I got training to do. Ino was fixing to ask what she was talking about when the Hokage activated the scroll and the group was back in the Hokage office. Everyone was looking around and at each other until the Hokage said, all right everyone. I want everyone to keep this a class secret in case you have any inquiries concerning it. Come talk to me about it, but make sure to bring up the Phoenix Project when you do so because I have written the codename on this. Then hold off until I confirm that the office is safe and give you the all clear to talk. I have more information than you do, but you have everything you need to get ready for this. I've seen more than enough evidence to dispel any doubts you may have about the boy. Only 31 people in the entire village are aware of these specifics. There are 25 in this office. It would be treasonous of you to divulge the information to anyone. Keep in mind that the Fox contract that each of us signs is a useful tool for communication with other signatories. However, keep in mind how despised they're here and use them sparingly. Please leave the Kabuto character alone if you see him. According to what I've seen and heard, he is capable of fighting Tsunade for a considerable amount of time. If at all possible, we intend to use him to provide false information. Whether you like it or not, Naruto might have saved the world. In addition to the Leaf, Naruto, Jiraiya, and Tsunade can serve as field generals during the Chunin exam due to their knowledge of the original attack. But keep in mind that things can change. The fact that we are here now is evidence of that. If everything goes according to plan, we might have some allies later, but I won't go into specifics just yet. You are all fired if that's all there is to it. Everyone departed after that, with the exception of Hiashi, who sent Neji and Hinata home. What is it, Hiashi? I wanted to let you know a lot of opinions were changed about that boy tonight. The third person inquired. I am aware that he was concealing certain facts. His body language was very subtle, but I could see it in addition. I wonder how he can use seals so extensively as if they were inconsequential. I will tell you this first because Naruto told me in private that even though you are a proud man, you are also a trustworthy man, the third said after giving him a brief glance. He gave everyone a censored version of what happened tonight. Nearly everyone would be broken by the actual extent of the harm, death, and potential enemy strength. I asked him to provide only the most important details. Regarding the seals, Jiraiya taught him a lot about them during his more than 3 years of initial training. Before he and Kyuubi came to terms with what they already knew, he studied every kind of seal he could to ensure that the demon could not escape or be easily removed. He also has Kyuubi assisting him in imparting knowledge through his seals. He has literally outperformed his father as a seal master. He showed us that sword tonight, and it's really unusual. Only he or his heirs could properly wield it because it is covered in so many seals. He gave them a gravity seal, which is on all of his clothing, if you visit the Wolfclaw weapon shop. It is a dynamic seal that develops in proportion to the wearer's physical strength. It can be released with a simple hand signal, but no matter how strong you are, it will feel like you have 20 extra pounds on. Naruto was upset yesterday when his total weight reached 1,400 pounds. He stated that his overall goal was to return to 10,000 pounds. Even with his strength, he still needed to return to make a difference. Consider how powerful our adversary will be if we fail to stop them in time. After stating that all of the color in Haisha's face had vanished, he said, I am going to get me and Hanabi some of those gravity seals. I have already told all the Genin Team Junin to have each member of their team to get some tomorrow on all clothes. I'll also bring the scroll Naruto gave me, which I wanted Hanabi to sign as well. I appreciate your time, Hokage. Good night, he said, and the Hokage thought, Naruto, you might become a Hokage yourself someday. In order to get the gravity seals on their combat and training clothes, a surprising number of people showed up at the Wolfclaw weapon shop the following day. Team 8, 9, and 10 all agreed to do group exercises, which included 5 laps around Konoha, 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 50 punches on a practice log with each arm, and 50 kicks with each leg. After about half an hour, the majority of the genin were ready to pass out, so the senseis instructed them to rest for the remainder of the day, but to keep their clothes with the gravity seal on them so they could get used to them. Lee sobbed to Jia because he was unable to get anyone to spar after the training exercise. Jiraiya woke up to the sound of what sounded like a war breaking out, so he went outside and fell on his head. Naruto had made 1,000 clones, divided them into 10 groups, and had each group working on a different task. Group 1 was practicing tree climbing. Group 2 was standing on one hand while holding a Rasengan in the other. Group 3 was practicing wind control by cutting leaves off a tree while hanging upside down. Group 4 was practicing throwing shurikens. Group 5 was practicing summoning various foxes and figuring out who their personal summoner was. Group 7 was practicing Shushin. Group 8 was practicing fire attack. Group 9 was practicing earth attacks. And Group 10 was practicing water attacks. Naruto himself had the Kyuubi Bunshin standing by him, instructing him on how to attack the training post with his sword, and after about half an hour of watching, Jiraiya went to find Tsunade. After waking up earlier than Jiraiya, Tsunade went to find her new apprentice Sakura. She discovered that Sakura had about 50 clones of her own, but they were all practicing water walking, while the original Sakura was using chakra scaples to cut at a tree. Tsunade asked her questions about her training and asked her to demonstrate her knowledge, and after learning the majority of what Sakura knew and giving her advice on what she needed to improve, she went to find Jiraiya. After getting up early that morning and discarding all of the sake and poker cards she could find in the house, Shizune set about preparing breakfast for everyone. Jiraiya and Tsunade arrived and sat at the table in a hurry, and Shizune asked, "What's wrong with you two today?" They both gave her a crazy look and simultaneously remarked, "I am getting too old for this." Confused, Shizune asked, "Tsunade, what do you mean?" "That girl Sakura will be a better medical ninja than I am once she improves her physical stamina and fine-tunes her chakra control," Tsunade remarked. "She understands the theories behind everything else I know how to do, as well as my techniques that I couldn't perform until I was in my 30s. Shizune was shocked, but she overcame it when she looked at Jiraiya and said, "Well, what's your story?" "She could probably beat me in 5 years with one hand tied behind her back." "Follow me to the front of the compound," was his response. "Hey Tsunade, I think we both agree that there is not much we could teach our original students from their point of view, but they might be able to grow even more if we switch students," the three of them said after they arrived at the front of the compound and watched Naruto work for roughly 20 minutes. While Sakura possesses Naruto's knowledge, he has never taught her those skills or defined them for her. Naruto also possesses Sakura's knowledge, but the same is true for him every day. I believe we should train them until lunchtime and then let them use their own abilities, Jiraiya said. You and I can work on strengthening ourselves to battle our former teammate, and you and Shizune can work on the other 3 girls as well. After giving it some thought, Tsunade remarked, I think that might work, but if you try anything perverted, I should wear you. Keep in mind that she and the boy are close, and she also knows the secret to my super strength. To put it another way, you may be a man now, but that doesn't mean you will be if you try anything. Jiraiya laughed at that and said, you always know how to kick a Jia when he's down, but you also know how to put him back together again. That's one of the things I always love about you. Tsunade turned to leave, but as she turned, Jiraiya tripped her with his foot, caught her as she was falling, and kissed her once. Shizune watched all of this happen, her jaw hitting the ground. When Kyuubi saw it, he pointed at them and said, Naruto, look over there. When Sakura arrived at the house just in time to see Naruto falling, she hurried to him without realizing what was going on with her sensei. When she arrived and revived him, he saw her and remarked, I think I just lost my mind. The next thing anyone heard was 1001 clones popping out of existence because Naruto passed out. Sakura instantly glanced in that direction and almost passed out when she thought she saw Jiraiya and Tsunade kissing in front of the house. Shizune approached the two of them and remarked, I think my mind just snapped. Jiraiya was carrying Tsunade into the house bridal style while still kissing her. Did you both witness Jiraiya and Tsunade making out? Naruto was the first to say, I think I need a drink, want to join me? Let's go to Ichiraku and get it so I don't have to be thrown out. Both women continued to look toward the house and simply shook their heads. The third Hokage walked up ghost white and said, I think I just lost my mind, after they had shared the 4th bottle of sake. Ninja are permitted to drink because they are old enough to die defending their village. When I entered the front room of the compound to see you all, Jiraiya was kneeling and Tsunade was wearing a ring that said, yes. When they saw me, they asked if I would eventually marry them. I simply came here for a drink after leaving there. The 4 of them looked at the owner and said, I need a drink. 2 bottles later, the Genin team's senseis entered, saw the 4 drinking, and asked, what's going on? Jiraiya and Tsunade were walking hand in hand when they stopped everyone in town and told them, guess what, we are getting married. The senseis looked at the 4 who were still drinking and said, I'll have what they are. Halfway across town, Tsunade and Jiraiya stopped Kabuto and informed him of their impending marriage in shock. Kabuto recognized both of them. However, he thought my master might want to know, so he went to his room and called forth a small snake, instructing it to inform Orochimaru that the other 2 Sannin were getting married. Upon hearing that from the summoned snake, Orochimaru followed suit and declared, I need a drink. Needless to say, Konoha ran out of sake that day. Everyone in town who knew the new couple had a really bad hangover, so the following day was officially declared a day off. To make things a little quieter in their minds, Sakura and Naruto had both called forth IP3 and Kyuubi. Kyuubi and IP3 went to the compound to eat dinner together. Both of them began planning for Sakura and Naruto. They also made jokes because they both knew how to help Sakura and Naruto get over their hangover, but they chose to let them suffer instead. Sakura went to tell Naruto after overhearing that passage. When she did, they both thought the same thing about those sadists, so they plotted to exact revenge after Naruto taught Sakura how to alter her own mental landscape. IP3 was in a room with Rock Lee and Guy posters all over it when Sakura cancelled IP3 Bunshin. 10,000 rabid fangirls surrounded Naruto when he simultaneously cancelled Kyuubi. Sakura's and Naruto's hangovers vanished in 30 minutes. They talked and tried to determine their relationship for the remainder of the day. Jiraiya and Tsunade began training Sakura and Naruto the following day after informing them of the new plan. After lunch, Naruto and Sakura began sparring, offering each other tips on jutsu techniques, sword fighting, and chakra control exercises. In the morning, it was teacher and student. That's how it went for the next few weeks. Sakura reached about 2,000 pounds, and Naruto reached about 4,000 pounds overall. In combat, they also devised a means of communication that did not involve speaking. Gemini Battle Link Jutsu was the name given to it. It was primarily created by IP3 and Kyuubi, but they also devised a set of hand seals that Sakura and Naruto could use to activate it. They gained an advantage when they sparred with Jiraiya and Tsunade. They pushed them to roughly 2/3 of their maximum capacity even though they were unable to defeat them. Additionally, Jiraiya and Tsunade were returning to their best. Sakura had found the Uzumaki private library, and Naruto had decided to spend Saturday there using mass shadow clones jutsu once he had figured out how to get past the seals. Sakura reached roughly 200 clones, while Naruto remained at 1000 to avoid psychological harm. In 3 weeks, they had only progressed halfway through the first floor together. There were still 2 floors of books in the library. Sunday was designated as a day of rest after telling Sakura, Tsunade, and Jiraiya about his plan for the mission to Wave. Naruto came up with a few ideas. Tsunade, Shizune, and Sakura began evaluating Naruto's healing skills and contrasting them with those of Sakura's. As it turned out, Sakura's blood type was Opposattive, just like Naruto's, and when the 2 blood types were combined, Sakura's body began altering her blood composition to match Naruto's. They also found that Sakura's DNA was actually changing for the better. She had some scars that had completely disappeared after years. Additionally, they discovered that she was healing similarly to Naruto. Damaged tissue was actually regenerating rather than healing. Additionally, they discovered that Sakura's blood had developed an immunity to certain poisons. More than the average person, but not as many as Naruto. When they discovered that Naruto could bleed heavily for more than an hour without fainting, Tsunade also overcame her fear of blood. When Sakura's hair grew 6 inches in 10 days, the secret about Naruto's hair was finally revealed. Naruto's hair grew more quickly than usual, and when it got too long, it began to turn red at the tips. To hide this, he always cut it. Both Kyuubi and Ip3 had gone through each other's memories and knowledge and arranged it so that Sakura or Naruto could obtain specific information if they needed it without being overwhelmed by it and becoming confused. They promised to respect others' privacy by not sharing personal memories, and they forced Ip3 and Kyuubi to comply under threat of being tortured by the fan club once more. 4 weeks have passed since the important meeting, and the 3rd Hokage visited the compound to see how Sakura and Naruto were doing. He arrived to find Sakura preparing for a face-off on one side of a field and Naruto on the other. Sakura made one-handed hand signals with her left hand while drawing her sword in her right, channeling chakra into it. She then screamed out, "Earth style, Earth tidal wave," as she drove her sword into the ground. A tidal wave that was 30 feet high erupted from the earth and rushed towards Naruto. For 2 distinct attacks, Naruto began using one-handed hand signals in each hand. After he finished the one in his right hand, he yelled, "Earth style." A solid dirt dome circled him, and the tidal wave struck it, completely engulfing it. A few seconds later, Naruto's voice said, "Earth style." Sakura was pulled underground by 2 hands grabbing her feet and using headhunter jutsu after emerging from the dirt a few feet from her. Naruto used his right hand to hurl a shuriken at Sakura's protruding head while using his left to draw his sword from behind him and block a second Sakura's sword strike from above. When the shurikens struck her, the one in the ground vanished in a cloud of smoke. A 10-foot spider web-like crater formed beneath Naruto when the 2 swords collided with Sakura's strength. As soon as they struck, Sakura flew backwards and Naruto began thrusting her back into the air with his sword. She rolled a few feet when she hit the ground and stabbed herself with her sword to prevent rolling further. She then got up and began using her sword in front of her to perform one-handed seals in each hand. When Naruto noticed which seals she was performing, he recognized the fire jutsu in her right hand and began performing a 2-handed seal. He then called out water-style hidden mist jutsu, which caused a thick mist to cover the entire area. When Sakura saw Naruto, she had just finished her right-handed seal and said fire-style, fireball jutsu as she brought her hand to her mouth. 10 balls of fire shot at Naruto, who took his sword out of the ground and used it as a shield to block all of the fireballs. Sakura finished her left hand first and said wind-style. Tornado slice jutsu. A tornado then appeared in the center of the area and began sucking up all the mist. "Good match, but it's over. Look behind you," Naruto said to Sakura after they had finished striking his shield, and he vanished in a cloud of smoke. A kunai was at Sakura's neck as she began to react. With a sigh, Sakura said, "Good match." Naruto, who was standing behind her, removed the kunai and gave her a towel to wipe away her perspiration and a bottle of water. "When did you switch? I know it was not when you were in the mist, because if you had, my tornado would have sucked up your clones before they ever touched the ground." Naruto laughed and said, "You always are the smart one. Yeah, when I blocked your sword attack and you flew backwards, you could not see me in that time, so I created a shadow clone and used one of my special kunai and shushin to get behind you. When you stood up, you were focused on my clone so much that you did not check behind you. Then all I had to do was wait for the right moment." Just then they both heard 3 people clapping and the third walked up and said, "That was a very good match, you two." I say you are both at least high chunin, maybe low junin in skill tier. I have also heard about the new Justsu created to work on battle coordination without talking, and that could be very useful in battle. I came by to evaluate you both to see if you were ready for a mission, and I believe you were. Sakura and Naruto looked at each other and then at the Hokage, and Naruto asked, "Which mission?" Naruto and Sakura both got evil smiles when the third laughed and said, "Nothing too hard, just an easy C-rank bodyguard mission to wave." Jiraiya then advanced and said, "I will be your sensei on this one, but I will mostly be observing both of your progress. Tsunade will be staying to work with the others, as will Shizune." Naruto, "You are sure you want to try and get Zabuza and that kid Haku to join us, right?" Naruto simply grinned and shook his head. Sakura stated, "I admit I am a little nervous. Even though we know what's supposed to happen does not mean it will. This is our actual first mission, and I know it will be tough after we get back. But I agree with Naruto, the firepower those two have can really help us." Before departing, Jiraiya and Naruto Sakura met Tazana in the Hokage office the following morning. Naruto was wearing green and black camouflage pants, and his right leg was equipped with a kunai pouch and a shuriken holster. He was wearing a shirt with scroll pockets that was dark green and blue. Along with hiding his sword on his back, he wore a long green and black camouflage duster that covered the majority of his clothing. Sakura was wearing green shorts and a dress in black and green. She had a kunai and weapon pouch on her left leg, and the bandages that most female ninjas wear around her upper legs. For the purpose of hiding her sword, she wore a small blue camouflage jacket with pockets for storage. When Tazana entered the room intoxicatedly, he said, "You are trying to get me killed. 2 kids and an old man is what I get for the money I paid." Naruto laughed at him and remarked, "We may be kids, but we are ninjas, and if we have to give our lives to ensure a mission is completed, then we are willing to do so. In addition, this is just a C-rank mission with no chance of enemy ninja, so even if we get into trouble, our Junin sense is more than enough to get us out." Tazana simply drank more sake and added, "Well, I feel a lot safer now. If we get attacked, you could talk the attackers to death." Sakura became irritated at that point, but Naruto put his hand on her shoulder. The 4 of them departed after Jiraiya used the opportunity to say, "Okay, let's go so we can get this mission over." Started. Naruto ran ahead of the group and said he would meet them at the gate. As Sakura saw the people glaring at Naruto as he rushed to the gates, she was about to inquire why. Looking at the ground, she wondered why Naruto had left his team to reach the gate first and why these people couldn't give him a break.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.